to have a rule to, always watch and be fearful of what you put up your own anus.
Alcohol is not a good idea.
Yeah. We're live, by the way. We're just talking about suppository testosterone supplements so that I grow a third testicle on my beard. Sup, everybody? This is Karak with ACG. We are at 263, podcast 263. Welcome to all of you guys. Thank you very much for joining. If you get a chance, could you tweet it out? Because not only did I send it out, we had some tech issues here, but I sent it out and unfortunately sent it with the Gennaro thumbnail, which is about as catchy as fucking, a really, really old country song. So it's not a bunch of people are probably going to go try to jump in here. So if you get a chance, I would love for you to. And I think a dog did poo. I think a dog did drop a deuce. How do I order the carrot crate? It's a secret. Once you figure it out, that's how you get it. It's a puzzle. It's sort of like the Da Vinci Code, only it's much stupider. And your reward is even worse. What do you guys, did you guys have a good week?
You know what? Yes, not bad. What about yourself? Recovering from all the
reviews,
videos and stuff?
And recovering from how sick I was from trying to play Sable. Fuck, man. I was so ill from that game. Oh, dude. I was like, what's wrong with me? I feel sick. And I thought it was everything else. And then I laid down and then one of the tech guys from the company DM'd me and he's like, hey, we're doing a patch if you've noticed stuttering and some issues with animation in the game. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that is what it is. Because, I was in bed. Like, I do not feel good, And unfortunately, the patch didn't fix them, which sucks technically because the game, I think a lot of people might like. Looks sort of cool, that little cel-shaded thing that they've got going on. Yeah, graphically, it looks cool, which we'll talk about. What about everybody in chat? Have you enjoyed your week? Have you had a good week? What about you guys? What have you been playing?
More Pathfinder. Always more Pathfinder.
Well, yeah, because it's a 800-hour game plus another 600 hours for bugs.
I did make it to the last chapter, though. So it's like only probably another 20 hours or so, maybe.
That's not bad. And you had you had some kind of save game corruption?
Yes, I did. The autosaves were busted. The game by default keeps 3 autosaves at, very random intervals. Sometimes it doesn't save for 2 hours, and then you go into a screen and it saves constantly, so you never know.
Yeah.
But all of those 3 save games, when I loaded back in after the game had crashed, it was only black screen on a completely different map. Like I was looking at the inn while my character was still in the in the main building.
No shit. And so loading them wouldn't nothing, huh? No. Oh,
but what did reset it is go to rest. So I went to the rest of menu because the menu was still there, but the rest of the screen was black. And the rest teleports you back to the bedroom.
For some reason, I feel like rest has fixed 80% of the issues in that game. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like a lot of the problems we've all talked about, I feel like rest has fixed a couple of those. Of those.
And by now, I booted it again today, the game, and so saw it was yet again on a new patch. So they do keep putting out patches one after another. It seems like every day, but there's still a lot of remaining issues.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Johnny?
Dude, I had a great week, like gaming wise, because I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, the Director's Edition.
Good way to have a good week, right there.
Glorious. There's something about the combat in that game. It's just fluid and it makes you feel sleek as you do it. And Kena is excellent as well. It's really, really cheerful and kind of what I needed. This like, I think you say it well in your review. It's something like a childlike exploration feeling that it's kind of what I needed, and some more Final Fantasy 14.
The game that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Is that a monthly as well? It is, right? I ask this every time because I always get confused because that's one of the old games that has the weird monetization. Different.
Basically, there's a big expansion coming in like a couple months, and I'm committed to getting to that point where I can, play it with my friends when that comes out. So that's why I'm cranking on that.
Very cool. Everybody in chat, what are you playing? I need to know. Silver, what have you been playing?
I've been playing Pathfinder as well. a little bit, and taking breaks from it when the bugs got a little too frustrating. And I've also been diving into Deathloop, actually.
Oh, you got Deathloop.
Which,
I didn't
yeah,
think.
I did.
Okay. Sorry. I thought you
felt
weren't
like-
getting it.
No, I mean, I did decide to get it because I felt like, yeah, my impressions would probably be useful as a stealth gamer and whatnot. And it is a stealth game. Or it does have stealth aspects, rather.
Yeah.
But I have to say, as a stealth game, much like Dishonored, it suffers a bit. It's not that fun to play as a stealth game. It is fun to play as an action game, and if you embrace it as an action game, I think, much like Dishonored. But I think the stealth mechanics aren't quite as solid enough to keep it afloat as a stealth game for me. Especially because as a stealth gamer, I tend to like sneaking through the levels rather than sneaking and taking guards and stuff out. I just want to get to the objective without anybody spotting me and whatnot, and that's not particularly conducive in Death Proof. You can do it, but it's a little janky and it doesn't work all that great. But I mean, there are some minor niggles I have with the game that kind of annoy me, like the save system, the fact that there are no rotating autosave. There's only the single continually overriding autosave, and if that corrupts, well, then you're boned.
Yeah,
because there's no backup in place, which that concerns me. Then there's stuff like the fact that because it has sort of an integrated multiplayer system, you can't pause the game when you enter like the menu system and stuff. So you basically have to finish the levels in one go. That annoys me a little bit as well, especially in a stealth game where one likes to take their time. So that's a little frustrating as well. But I do think that like the looping mechanic, which is the most unique system in the game, is interesting. It's interesting to sort of just buckle down for one level and see that level change throughout the course of the day.
Yeah. And
different areas of the level open up and different items and stuff. Like exploring those secrets. I also enjoy the fact that as you like collect information, you will retain the information sort of automatically. You don't have to write anything down. So if you like learn a key code, when you go and access the keypad that key code accesses, the key code will show on the keypad. Without you having to go through scan through your locks and whatnot. That's very convenient. I really appreciate that. I've never seen that before. So kudos to them for implementing that. The guns are, I mean, the shooting is average. It's not great. It's the AI also not great. It's very much like Dishonored. But the only real challenge really comes from numbers. Like there are levels where you will be up against, I don't know, 40 or 50 of them at one time. It gets a little crazy, but it can be fun, especially as you expand your arsenal and as you expand your powers and you start to mess around with them and combine them in interesting and fun ways, like in Dishonored. But I don't think it's one of Arcane's strongest games so far. I think some of the accolades are probably from people who are deeper into the systems of the loop than I am. I do actually understand, like you said you didn't understand at all, like comparisons people were making to Dark Souls. And I have begun to somewhat understand them, because you do have like this currency that you use for power-ups in the game that you can lose if you die, and then have to go and pick up if you died. Like, so that system is kind of Dark Souls like. But other than that, I agree. It's not like the comparison is tired at this point.
Well, there's Silver's review for Deathloop. He just covered almost everything he likes or dislikes about Deathloop. So there you go. There's another idea on what somebody thinks. He's not done, but obviously he's played it a while. Johnny, Reg, yes, no on that game? I'm sorry, I can't remember. I apologize.
No.
Okay.
Not interested enough at the moment.
So let me look here and read. Yes, we're going to cover Infinite. I'm just checking Chris Pratt as Mario, just verifying what some people are saying. I know Molotov said she was playing the Dwarf game. I always forget. Rock Choppy Dwarf.
Deep Rock Galactic.
Deep Rock Galactic. So she was enjoying that, it sounds like, just reading some of these. Oh, I went a little too far. There we go. Diablo 2. Oh, yeah, Resurrection, right? Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit today. Kina Reckoning. Oh, that's for the Karak Crate. Let's see. My week has been great, minus waking up feeling sick this morning. That's why we're here. We will single-handedly improve your day. Just stick with us.
Make you feel more sick.
It's possible. Venin En says, not fun fact for Karak and crew is what I'm assuming. He says the crew 2 now has a car battle pass which can be bought only by real money. But aren't battle passes money normally?
Yes. The regular model for those battle passes is you have a free tier, and then you have always teased the one. If you buy money, you can also unlock the second goodies. That's the usual model of those.
Gotcha. Aston says, gaming was great. Real life sucked. That's why we're here, man. We're roll into a Friday. Tales of Arise. Paris. Ooh, David finished Paris DLC, Valhalla. What did you think of that? Because I'd like to know, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to return to Valhalla here soon. Anybody else get their ass kicked in Kina? Game feels hard. So here's the thing that I'm going to say about Deathloop, and I'm going to say about Sable. Easy games are getting higher scores than they should. Sorry. They just are now. They just are. If a game's easy, it's just getting higher scores. I think right now everybody's tired. And I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing. I do think that people might look back on their reviews in a year and go, maybe I shouldn't have, said this. But what I have noticed is that the games where the hyperbole is at a level that is just like, even the people liking them are like, really? I mean, I like this game, but it's like, where are we? Is this really a Breath of the Wild classic? Even though I don't like Breath of the Wild, I can still look at it and go, I do get why other people think that is a game of the year or what have you. With Deathloop, it's never happened in my brain, ever. There's never been a time where I looked at that and said, that's game of the year. But I can also say that game is almost nut-crushingly easy. And what I mean by that is it's to the point to where that becomes the difficulty, is forcing yourself to continue to play it. Because I need a little risk. I need a little requirement for something.
What's really odd about it is that the game has no difficulty options at all.
No, and we've seen that with a couple games. Kina at least had them. Sable doesn't have one either. So I've had Kingmaker installed for a long time. This is Alex, but I can't bring myself to play it because it's so long and I don't have time. So you've had it installed for a long time, but you don't have time to play it. So he had just enough time. Like he was on his way somewhere. He's like, I'm going to install this game I'll never play, just so like he can look at his hard drive and be like, 2 terabytes used up by Kingfinder. Well, it's not terabytes. Holy shit, that'd be a big game, right?
That is a good portion of my Steam library, so I'm not going to judge.
Yeah, you mean loading them up and then not playing them again?
Yeah.
No, ignore the journalist mode things. I'm not, guys. That's not what. I'm just saying that I don't think that's journalists. I think humans are doing that right now, and I'm not doing it yet, and I'm sure something will affect me. But I think that people are doing it. Even in our chat, I've noticed sometimes somebody's like you'll get that down and out person who will pop into chat, even in this chat, who will pop into chat and say, I don't like this game, but it's sort of just okay to play. Like they're tired. Yeah. And I get it. Like the world is not fun for almost anybody out there. And I certainly understand it. I don't think as a reviewer I should change a score for that, but for you guys, when you come in the Discord, I can
change the fun factor as well, right? If you just came out of, something like Neo 2 that kicked your ass, and, maybe you're not in the mental space to tackle something as difficult.
It might, but to me, that wouldn't have a connection. Because, like, I went into Kina, you said prior to us jumping in, you were like, man, it's what I needed, right? Kina's sort of what I needed. It's what I needed, but that doesn't make the game better. It's just...
you might mention it in the fun factor or something, but the overall quality wouldn't change.
Yeah, so you're right. I might mention it in the fun factor that, hey, at this time, this was fun to slide into after... The only games that rightfully deserve 10 past decade had to be Witcher. Dude, Witcher 3, I'm sorry. Did everybody forget that Witcher 3 launched like a giant steaming fucking barrel of turds? Witcher 3 had issues everywhere, technically. That game was not a 10. If we're talking about like a masterpiece, sorry, Disco Elysium. Did Disco Elysium have tech issues? I don't believe it did, right? So that would have been just how you experienced Disco.
Not anything serious.
Yeah, I'm closer to agreeing with Disco than I am with Witcher 3 because, dude, I had to deal with Witcher 3. And I liked that game, but it had issues with HDR, it had issues with
the only
audio.
issue I remember from Witcher 3 launch was the interaction with everything.
Oh, and interaction, the A button shit? Yeah, that was awesome.
That wasn't a bug, though. That was a design.
No, that was a design, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
but it's still...
It was, and that's another reason.
Thing.
There you go, right? Like, dude, that sucked, man. It actually, well, it sucked bad enough the devs themselves were like, guys, this is a miss. So we're going to go back and we're going to program a different thing in. People are doing Lost Judgment here soon. That's why I like Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I'm just going to read the rest of this comment, even though I don't like that starting. Simple game to turn my brain off and have an okay time. Okay, no,
Okay.
that's agreeable. That's agreeable. An okay time, right? Sometimes you have sex just to be having it, I guess. You're just like, I'm just happy to be around. I'm just happy to be involved. Let's see. I punched my horse so many times. You punched your horse?
Yeah, that's in Red Dead.
Oh, right. Okay. Wait.
Oh,
I would
yeah, you
imagine.
could accidentally
Yeah.
punch it if you if you press the wrong button or something, right?
Yeah.
No, it's if you press like the B or the circle button.
Right, yeah, and I did that a bunch of
depending on the
times.
platform on the
Yeah.
gamepad.
Right.
let's
Just
see.
like jumping instead of talking with someone in
Oh, yeah.
games
Oh, yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. Or when you get the wrong button, X and A, like X
Oh,
is
yeah.
dodge instead of
Oh,
B
my God.
or
Context
jump.
context sensitive controls are really one of the aspects of modern gaming that really annoy me.
And when you
most.
go into the options, Silver, and it says like dodge / duck / jump
Yeah.
/
Yes.
talk / interact / and you're like, fucking what? Like there's other buttons on this controller. What are you guys doing?
Yeah. Especially when you come out of like Arma Operation Flashpoint that had used the entire keyboard. Like,
And then twice.
Yeah.
No, twice, because it had the alt button for all the other buttons.
One button for looking like 70 degrees.
Dude,
one button for looking like
your
30
numb buttons.
degrees.
Yeah, that was awesome. Because if I remember right, it goes the 5 is center and it's like 7, 8, 9.
Yes.
They circle around.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time playing Arma, and it was like Alt F1 control to like get guys to do this. But if you want the guys to do that, but not do it offensively, or it was like just the Alt F1, and admittedly I liked it, but can you imagine trying to play that right now? Let's see. Or on a controller, sorry, is what I meant. In Oblivion, there was a glitch that if you hit your horse, you got kicked out of the guild. It got kicked out of the guilds. Animal abuse. They're like, none of the guilds will kill people, but the moment you fuck with a dog, it's a little bit like John Wick, where John Wick's like, okay, if people are dying, but the moment you screw with his dog, he's like, all right, man, I'm coming out of retirement. Anyway, yeah, we'll get this started. I did want to say before we begin, thank you everybody for showing up last week. We had a great time. I did tweet it out wrong today, so if you get a chance, tell everybody. Also, if you get a chance, go to iTunes and please review the podcast. I always forget to say that, and it's actually a big deal. So I'm going to read a couple questions before we jump directly into some of the news. We're going to talk about Nintendo had a bunch of news. Sega, Nintendo had a bunch of news. Microsoft had some stuff. Sony had a little bit of stuff. The Nintendo event was a major thing. And then we're going to wrap up some reviews. And these guys posted a bunch of stuff. So we actually have a lot to discuss. Andrew says, is Cyberpunk playable now on PS4? That's a good question.
I have no idea.
That's a good question. And I apologize. I can't answer that. That's a very good question. So if anybody in chat knows that. So I'm going to get through these questions real quick. Susan, the admin, she's come back. So I had to pay her because last time she left in a huff. She's awesome. She's a friend of mine. She left in a huff. She was like, I don't want to deal with your people. They're just whining about everything, blah, blah, blah. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't like the patrons were whining. It was the world. And she's not a fan of like people bitching unless they have cancer and are missing arms. Then she's like, you're allowed to feel bad for yourself. But I paid her. She's back. She's helping out. And she sent me these questions. And she said, don't read them prior, which makes me nervous. But I trust her.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Here we go. More suppository.
And they may not be bad. They may not be bad. Yeah. Bloody Meatballs says, I know you hate Death Stranding, but the new additions need to be discussed. This game's so good. So it did get, I saw it get some reviews. Some people were like, the add-ons didn't turn out to be as much as they thought. But I guess the question for us is anybody going to return to Death Stranding due to the director's edition?
It's possible, but I don't think it's likely given everything else that's coming out.
A good point, right?
At the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very low priority.
Very low priority. Okay, so I think we all agree that's a low priority. So what we'll there's not much to discuss, Bloody Meatballs. I agree with you that, you know, those add-ons are there. And if you enjoy the game, that's great. These guys enjoyed the game and they're not returning. So I'll just leave it at that. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to this is interesting. Does that strike you as a game that's, you know, replayable? Because for me, it's a one and done.
Death Stranding.
Because the bits that I liked were not the cinematics. Like the cinematics would be like kind of painful to go through once again for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And the boss
I mean,
fights.
they were fine, but you know, like not to play a second time. So
Princess Peach, yeah.
But Silver, you sound a bit more peachy on it. Like you would be okay with it. A second.
Yeah,
play.
I would be okay with playing it for the same reasons I'm okay with playing Euro Truck Simulator all the time.
Yeah.
And returning to that game.
The Zen moments.
Just going from A to B in that game is enjoyable to me.
Cassandra with the super chat. Buggy game launches have started me on a new routine of waiting a year after launch before playing. I get a much better experience. Discuss.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think we all agree that if you can,
you get the patches and you pay like $10 instead of $60.
It only makes sense. But here's the thing: the zeitgeist is missed. It really is, and a lot of people like to have that moment where you're all in Discord going.
And if it's any kind of multiplayer game, chances are it's dead by then.
I forgot about that. Yeah, chances are you're like Avengers where you can't get into groups because no one's playing. So
yeah, and you can also be an enthusiast and want to see what's the newest, latest efforts in the genre, right? And like see how people are trying to push the envelope with new graphics and things. And maybe 1 year is, you know, way too long for you. To wait. Yeah,
I get it. I get why people hold on. I will just say, I don't hold on purpose. It will be more, I'm too busy. And then I might return to it. But I'm going to tell you, it's pretty hard for me to return just because I don't have a ton of time. I usually will return to something to make a video on it. The rest of the stuff, there's something new coming all the time. And that's not saying that old games are bad, because some of them are phenomenal. It's just hard to get a couple hours when it's like, dude, there's this new thing that is very cool or just as cool as the old thing. And it's right now. And so if I have a chance to jump in right now, I like to talk about it with you guys. Like that's...
Yeah.
Right.
That's
and plus, sort of we all already have comfort games that we return to in downtimes.
Correct. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Like to add another one, it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very difficult. We need to support developers like the ones that made Disco Elysium, Kina, instead of buying new FIFA. I don't like the term support because they're offering a product, and I don't necessarily think my job is to support anybody. My job's to buy what I like. So I don't have an issue with somebody buying FIFA if they like FIFA. Besides, that's a weird comparison. FIFA versus disco. Not to be rude, but how many people are out there playing soccer, yelling at each other, going, hey man, let's pass up fucking FIFA. Let's go buy that new Disco Elysium game where you're talking to yourself all day.
No overlap.
There's not a lot of overlap in those two, right? Like, that's like when you get in the old days, the big weightlifters, you know, if you came in and were like, so D&D, I was rolling a natural 20. And they're like, dude, what? You know, there's more overlap, but back then, that's a good thought process. Monkey Puzzle says, new angle for the channel, 1 year late reviews. Yeah. How to make a channel go nowhere quick. Just do that.
Yeah.
There's a couple people who've already do well, and once those are done, most people won't watch 2 brand new old reviews. Does that make sense?
Right.
So if they're brand new old game reviews, almost nobody double watches those. What were you going to say, Silver?
Right. Not just because you do have channels like Mandalore Gaming who does like the reviews of older games that he plays for the first time.
And took him forever to get to even start doing well. Finally doing well, but it was years.
Yeah, and he established his audience not doing that. He's now in a position where he can do that, right? He built up an audience with some kind of hardcore, like more mainstream or more catering.
I know some people will do that. I don't remember anything about. I watch I don't really watch his videos. I follow him on Twitter, and I've talked to him once or twice on DMs, probably about YouTube issues. But we don't have a lot of overlap because he does do old.
Right.
But does good videos. Oh, I think I found it only because when you guys in the Discord said that he literally uses my steps, like sound, music, voice. Like he literally uses the exact template, and that's And so I went and listened. I was like, oh, that is the template, but it's not a bad thing. Is Johnny drinking Roker Durling?
This is an old mouth cider.
Oh, gotcha.
My darling cider here. This happens to be a berries and cherries.
This Uptown says, I watch Rad Brad. Yeah, so Rad Brad can tell you he's going to do 85 part ones. Jesus! Dude, that guy he's scored. He's so I love it. I'll do a part 2 if I get 800,000 billion gillion likes, and there's always some dude with hope. Right? There's always some guy with hope that they're going to get there.
It will be a full series this time.
I swear. It'll be all of it.
He's cornered the market on part 1. Dude,
it's
when
true,
you do
though.
a video, when you look for SEO, it comes up.
It does. It does. Part 1.
Part 1.
That's literally it. It's never part 2. It's never part 33. It is quite literally always part 1. And then you go and it's part 1. Now, admittedly, he does do some he sticks with, but it's a billion times more rare. Let's see. If a company puts out a lot of games that I like, I'll support them and not think of them as like buying what I like because I want that studio to make more. See, and I won't. I don't believe in that, man. I think we've seen multiple companies go to shit. We've seen BioWare. I mean, if I did that, I would still be buying BioWare's games, hoping they'd make better stuff later. There's no history. There's no history for you. So why should there be? These guys can't even do save games right in Mass Effect. So if there's no history for them giving a shit about you, why should there be history from you giving a shit about them? Is what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make any sense. They're not returning anything to you. They give you a $60 game. You buy a $60 game. They're not contacting you in the middle of the night asking how you feel. Like, why?
Oh,
One of the doctors from BioWare being like, hey, man, I saw your save game in Baldur's Gate. Just a little issue here I'd like to walk
like my cell phone provider today. Like I called them up asking when my contract would be canceled. The call was done, and suddenly half an hour later, I get a call from an unknown number, and it's like a machine asking me to give a review about my consumer experience.
Oh, weird. That's actually uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was like, no, surely not. That for games, that would also be very weird.
Yeah, that would be really creepy. What were you gonna say, Silver?
See, I try to like support developers in that, not because I view it as like a two-way street in that sense. I view it as a kind of investment that I want to get something out of down the line in terms of their products, because I remember when Looking Glass Studios went under in like around 2000. They were the studio making the Thief games, which was enormously disappointing and saddening to me to see them go under. So I have sort of retained that sense of trying to support developers that I see making work that I think is good and that I would like to see more of.
That's not support. Isn't that just you buying the game you like? That's not support. That's you buying the game you like, right? Or are you saying you sent them money?
I do sometimes because I don't always buy games I necessarily like.
Pay for
sometimes
Really?
sometimes I will buy games that I'm not necessarily interested in playing, but I think they're interesting, or I think the concept they're going for is interesting. That it's something that I do want to put my money toward and sort of signal that there is money to be made in making this.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How in the fuck does that make sense if you're giving them money for a game that you don't 100% like because you hope that a game that they used to make that you did like would come out later?
Well, no, I mean those things are separate.
Okay.
I mean there are developers where I do it for the past work, and then there are developers where I do it for the present work
Or future.
Where with the present work, it will often be if the concept is interesting or the like, and with the past work, it will be if the work they did in the past was interesting to me or something I want to see more of.
Gotcha. I'm going to read the super chats. Iron Lords podcast. What's up, guys? Salute to ACG, the realest dudes. Fantastic panel, amazing podcast, great discussion, laughs while I'm at the gym. Oh, Cog's at the gym right now. He's pumping it out, and people can just hear on his open-ended, hear me talking about third testicles
Probably
on beards.
grunting
like,
our names.
Yeah, mine
like
for
a
sure.
Weird voice.
Like what is it, Rocky IV, when Sylvester Stallone gets to the top of the mountain, and he's like, Drago! Yeah, Iron Lord's fantastic time on their podcast. Like, we've had a lot of good times behind the scenes, yakking and being on each other's podcast. Great guys. Abel Nunez says, hi. $5 super chat. Hi. I love it. No, nothing special. Nothing, doesn't have to be like, I love you guys, I'm on your jock. He's just like, what's up? Hi. And that's it, and moves on. That's the kind of fan I like. You rock. Thank you very much. Let's see. Imagine getting your feelings hurt because some guy online doesn't agree with you. Oh boy. Happens a lot.
Yes.
Happens a lot. Oh, speaking of that, moving on, because we had questions. Wizard of Smoke says, did you guys play The Artful Escape yet?
No.
Not yet.
Me neither.
I feel bad. People keep telling me I have to play it, but I haven't gotten to it.
It's like those good games,
Nor was
right?
Underwhelmed by it. He played it.
Yeah, he was. Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is that the one where Nor posted a bunch of pictures that had nothing to do with what he was saying?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if
That
anybody
was
was
exactly
there,
the one.
so I guess Reg was there. But I'm telling you right now,
No.
I have no clue still to this moment what Nor was talking about. Nor was like talking about not liking
He
something.
was saying like, "Oh, this game is so pretentious," and then sends a screenshot of some children's toys. What?
Yeah, I was
I
just
don't know.
like,
I don't
what
get
is
it.
he talking about? What are these? And then he's like, sorry for the small font. So then I'm blowing it up, right? Going, I must be missing something. I sometimes wonder if he's just setting us up. He's like, I'm just going to get him to look at my picture for like 5 minutes for teasing me. Let's see. Next up, Ignacy Kruk. I'm sorry if I pronounce that wrong. Question for the podcast. What are the games that you appreciate for world building and atmosphere rather than game mechanics or story? So just like the brute force of world building and atmosphere versus a well done story. That's a good question.
Yeah.
With the first part, I was thinking like a game that had a good world building and story, but not good game mechanics.
Yeah.
And there, my answer would be clear. But
Yeah, so this is like, okay, Vampire. I would say Vampire I didn't like just, but I would say Vampire sways a little heavier on the theme, the world building that I liked versus the story being, I wasn't like, wow, this story shocked me to my core. It just,
I
like
guess
that.
then Werewolf would be in the same way.
Yeah, Werewolf the Apocalypse, the one you
Yeah.
played. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, me too on Werewolf. It was just mechanically, and it looked ancient. It looked like a fucking mod we would have
But
made.
it's Werewolves, and we barely get any games like that.
Exactly. And it had a little base. Like, if anybody hasn't played Werewolf the Apocalypse, there's some...
That base location was the best thing.
Yeah, that was 3 feet from the bad guys.
Every exit, there's enemies.
Dude, it was so weird. It would be like Peter Pan having his island, like, on top of the ship of
Well,
Captain
it was
Hook.
basically like Asterix.
Flat sharing.
Like, the one town surrounded by enemies.
Dude, it was so weird when I first started playing that because I was confused by what I was playing. I was like, why am I walking out? Is there some story that's going to come out where you're passing through the Umbra, which is their spirit world? But nope. Silver or Johnny, any games?
Origins for me. AC Origins. Didn't like the story. Didn't like the protagonist. Loved the world itself.
Ooh, that's a good.
And exploring that. And like in your walking the walk, you show, the dudes like
making bricks
actually
and
building
shit.
stuff.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, it's crazy.
There's more there, right? There's more to like in that than there is Boryak sitting there just boring you to death. Just admittedly, I know other people like him. But what about you, Silver? Any games like that?
Yeah, I mean there are a lot. I mean I feel like a lot of open world games, definitely, where I go to them less for the game mechanics than I do for the lore of the world. Especially, I mean, Assassin's Creed is one of the big ones, where it's not always fun to play, and it can be janky in terms of the controls and whatnot. But like the aspect of exploring these historical locations and historical cities from medieval Accra or Jerusalem to Firenze or Rome or whatever. That is the aspect that has always appealed to me about Assassin's Creed. It's not the actual gameplay. The gameplay is secondary to all of that.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, I think the story falls secondary for a lot of people too. They like the worlds, but the stories. Other than Ezio, I know a lot of people liked him, but I think for a lot of people, it is just the world. Uncle Ben's Paramedic. Uncle Ben's Paramedic. I just watched Spider-Man yesterday. I know that joke. With KOTOR getting the remake treatment, do you think Jade Empire could get some remake love? I wish. I don't think Jade Empire's coming back, but man, I would kill for a new Jade Empire. That game is a blast. But I just don't think. Who knows? Star Wars is easy to remake. Jade Empire, when you're like it's Asian steampunk magic, it doesn't sell itself as well as just saying Star Wars. I think Star Wars sells.
Yeah.
It's just easier. Michael Hasseldorf says, Sable hitches constantly. Any ideas how to fix? Yes. The one thing I did here is if you open up Steam and you hit right click and then you go to manage uninstall.
Alt F4. Yeah.
It hitches. Right. It hitches on it. From what I understand, the videos we saw yesterday, what I played on the console, it hitches on everything. And it unfortunately just has a lot of tech issues, and they're working on it. So, no, I have no fixes. Poseidon says, why don't you review some games that seem big? Because I don't get them or I don't get the time. Pause says, Sable was the 5th. Count it. The 5th. Capitals. I have a game I bought this year with massive issues on console and PC. I didn't see you do a review for Sable, but others did, and barely any mentions. Keep on holding devs accountable for general performance, ACG. Also, have you ever stopped a review due to technical issues? Yes, Sable.
Boom.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. Right there. Moving on, Bladder is just about full, says Karak. In a Y video, you said something about truisms or idioms being false. What did you say exactly? I always liked it, but I do not have the energy to go look it up, as you would say. Also, what is one truism or saying in games that doesn't make sense? I think he means a myth in games.
Uh-huh.
What's a myth in games that's not business? I
guess a myth about game development?
Lazy devs?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one.
Or like evil publisher.
Versus perfect indie.
Unicorn dev team.
Yeah.
One good game means all good games.
Yeah. Or one bad game. Or one bad game means all bad games. I mean, we have seen that. We have seen the reverse of that, which has been pretty crazy.
Yeah.
The one truism, I think I said, if I remember, I'm almost sure I remember what I was talking about and what I was bitching about was that people hold up jackasses from. I don't have an issue with like saying these explorers did amazing things, but you'll have somebody who said something once, like a penny saved is a penny earned. It's like, fuck you. It absolutely isn't. Like there's thousands of things like that sound good, and they sound good to end a conversation, but they actually don't in any way, shape, or form inform a conversation or actually are true. And you hear it from a lot of people. They'll drop a one-liner from fucking Star Trek, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few of the one. You're like, no. Like a lot of this, it's just bullshit. It sounds good. I think that's what I was talking about. And I'm pretty sure it was about like lazy devs at the time. And then the last one is Trisha. Oh, Triss is Bay. I think he's talking about Witcher. Do you suggest people create their own communities or step into others pre-created like Discords from influencers? Plus, I have a question for each one of the guys. So first of all, that's a good question. So do what you want, but I think pre-built communities are a big plus at times, you know, so you don't have to waste time building it. You have people there talking. We've seen that with Discords where people start a Discord now of like 3 people because everybody else has a Discord. And sometimes it's like, might as well just stick with the 1 or 5 that you have or 15. Some of us have too many Discords. But yeah, I would say, and by the way, influencers, man, don't jump in there. You don't want a Kim Kardashian Discord. She's an influencer. Like, can you imagine going into that? That must be insufferable, man. Talking about like fucking hair products and shit all day long. Find a group of people you like, and if it's friends, make a Discord for your friends. See where it goes, or come into everybody else's. Mine costs money, but there's a lot of people who have free ones. A lot of game developers. Only problem is, I don't know about you guys. I've gone to a couple of game developers. They always feel like they're selling me something. Like when I get in their Discord, like, hey, we're doing this patch on this game. If you guys want to talk about it, you know, socially, and you know, doesn't really feel like they're offering anything other than that. The 4 questions. Johnny, is it weird to have gone from not understanding English and now being able to talk fluently? Do you remember the times when most of what you heard was alien to you?
I'll take the compliment. Thank you. Yes, distinctly. I remember watching shows and not only needing the subtitles to even keep up. Like when I watched The Wire, this was years ago. The Wire, you guys know the show, The Wire. I couldn't keep up with like, you know, the slang and all that. And I couldn't understand because they don't vocalize a lot. So I definitely needed subtitles a lot and then like look up words. And now that sort of stuff, I'm able to just listen without subs. So it's, you know, it's a massive difference.
So you definitely remember a time where like a TV show would be on and 70% of it, you'd just be like, it just sounds.
Oh yeah. And
really?
Not only that, I remember the step when I took the step of changing subs from Spanish or at the time Spanish to English. So at least I could listen and read in English where, you know, I knew enough of the language where I could do that. And then the next step was to be able to get rid of subs altogether. And that was like, oh my God.
That'd be sort of cool, man. That would be sort of cool. Like, I don't have that experience, but I think that would be awesome to like have that moment where the screen is just blurbing and you're like, I don't know what's being said or it's just sounds. And then that moment when almost like if I hear a cuss word in Spanish, I can usually pick out what the you know, I'll be like, I'm pretty sure because the lettering might be first letter might be the same or something. You're like, puta, what's that mean? You know, there's certain things where you're like, I'm pretty sure I know what those 5 words mean. That's awesome, man. I had never thought about that. Good question. Very good question, actually. Next one is for Silver. What's a fun movie for you? Not one that you critique, but one you can just sit back and enjoy.
There are a lot. I mean, Sleeve and I talked about one on the podcast lately, which is Big Lebowski. That's a big one. For just easy viewing. That movie flows so well, and it's a movie where you can just, especially if you've already seen it, you know it so well that it doesn't really matter if it's on television or something, and you come in like
halfway through,
or a quarter through, or 3/4 through, you still go, oh, that scene is coming up, so I can stick around for that. And then when that scene's done, you're going, oh, now that scene is coming up, and then I'll stick around for that, and then so all of a sudden the movie's done. So that's a big one.
Those are all cool. I do want to say this out. This is a good example of what Johnny was talking about. Tyler R. says it's sort of like the sim language and then to like a language you can understand. But like Johnny, I get that because like I'll hear the
pretty much. I currently have that similar experience for Japanese, which I'm.
Oh, you're starting to like. You've been doing it now for a couple of years.
Some sentences I can pick out, some words, but most of it's still like noise.
Do you find, is it the same where in a lot of languages where if you understand one or two words, then you can grasp what the sentence is? Or is is Japanese so different that that doesn't help as much? Have you found that out yet? Have you got to that point yet?
You don't need
You
to
definitely
understand.
recognize words.
Yeah, you don't need to understand the whole sentence to. It's often enough if you pick up one or two words that you know the general gist of it.
Gotcha.
Fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
I mean, the three big ones for me are like Italian, Spanish, and French, which are really connected, sort of so well that you can recognize the skeleton there.
Yeah, they have a base. They have a base tempo,
and of course, also obviously as a Dane, obviously Swedish and Norwegian as well, very very close to Danish, but also very different in terms of their tone.
Silver, is Swedish also like sharing the same root as?
Yeah,
but you didn't mention it because you hate Swedes.
Exactly.
Didn't I mention it?
I don't know.
Swedish
I
and
don't know.
Norwegian?
But if you did, then you sold out your entire heritage anyway. So you wouldn't want to readmit it. Right?
I'm just busting balls here.
Yeah. Real quick, Rogerio says, "Praise the sun." What's
I
up,
would
man?
never want to
Nice
talk
see you
it,
back.
but I understand it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You're like, don't talk it around me.
Of course.
When you hear it like Klingon, you're like, I know.
You
what that
just
is.
need to recognize your enemy.
Yeah.
So that's enough.
It's exactly
Right,
true.
yeah.
It's exactly true. What is weird to me though is like how all the languages, especially for English, you can say fuck in 15 ways just depending on how where you put emphasis and stuff. And obviously multiple languages do that. But no wonder it's hard because not only do we have that, but you also have slang. And well, fuck, for instance, is slang.
And dialects.
Technically. Yeah, and dialects. And, my wife knows some Chinese, and then I have two friends, one's Thai, and hearing him talk, versus like her, and just hearing them both, and you're just like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like sometimes I'll hear them talk, and it's like a cloud of noise coming towards me. And I know data is being transferred, but it sounds like a modem, if that makes sense. And my brain is like, I know data, 56K of data is going across. But like one of my friends, man, he talks so fucking fast. Well, people think I talk fast, but Thai's the fastest language for getting data. Like if you look at like statistics,
right.
Thai's the fastest. And that's who I grew up around. And this fucker will sit down, and if he gets excited, there's no stop to the word. It's just like, it's like somebody moaning in the background in a language because he doesn't cut off his words. It's so fast and I love that.
That's how I feel some French people talk as well.
Yeah, true.
Especially because
when they get
French people often tend to sort of, when they have multiple words with vowels,
they tend to blend them.
Blend them together. Smooth them together.
Yeah. I think that's cool. I think that's cool.
Word. Yeah.
That's if matter of fact, I was telling somebody if there was anything I would love the ability to learn quickly, it would be a language, just because with Google now, you can literally go anywhere as long as you have a connection and you can ask them to say something and look and get a general obviously a better translation that I would ever be able to do right now.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And what's crazy is I was writing pen pal notes 6 weeks to get to China because I was writing somebody in China. It would take them 6 weeks to get back.
Right.
And now there's something amazing about just grabbing that.
Absolutely.
And because the honest truth is I've dated a couple of people that were other nationalities. And at first, because everybody speaks differently, you do think of them as like whatever caricature you've taken from the world. Like if it's Russian, it's like, and sometimes, and sometimes those stereotypes are absolutely correct socially, because socially their religion is a different kind. Like the people I dated, their religion was insane, that, like Orthodox kind of stuff. The
Orthodoxy,
Yeah, and you're like, damn, that's some strict shit. Where we're more loosey-goosey around here. It's like, 7.5 deadly sin. Maybe 8 deadly. Like you're starting to change shit as you go. It's so cool, man. I would kill to be able to just be able like to understand it. And I think especially like a lot of people would probably have far less issues if they were able to. You could sort of see and understand people in such an easier way. John says, Karak, is it an issue picking up the dog poo in the mulch backyard? Yes. It's a good question. Every single morning. So if anybody knows, I mulched the entire backyard because I was like, fuck this, man. I don't want grass. The dogs were digging it up. We mulched it, and mulch will cut up dog poop, which is awesome. So mulch is angular and sharp, and so dog poop will go away quicker. But sometimes you'll get a dog that chooses a spot, And I have a Great Dane, and when he chooses a spot, it's like a human pooping. It's not a dog poop; it's a big person poop. And then he poops in the same place, and pretty soon you have to go pick it up out of the bark. It's pretty nasty. So thanks for asking. Weird story, but there you go. Media says watch Kakistan News, ACG, and your friend will see him talking in slow-mo to you. No, because, I mean, my friend's Thai, man. Like, they legitimately have a faster language. New member, Top, and then Solo does a super chat, $9.99. Happy Friday, y'all. Just opened a fortune cookie that said, people gravitate to your winsome personality. My question is, what does winsome mean?
Winsome.
Winsome doesn't mean wise, right? I thought winsome meant in some way humorous. I'm going to have to look that one up.
Yeah, true.
Isn't it basically the same as saying your winning personality?
I think, yeah, there's something about it that doesn't mean what it sounds like. It doesn't mean attractive. Yeah, it just means attractive.
Yeah,
magnetic. Yeah.
Okay, that's what we call fake friends when we're learning English. Words that seem like they would mean something.
Right, because their
but they're
base
like-
is a word like wise, and you're like, or wisdom. It sounds like, I mean, it does too. When somebody says it quickly, you're like, oh, it must be wisdom, and
Right.
you find out it means something completely. It's a good super chat. Thank you very much. I hope you're having a good time. Let's jump into news. I've read my last one, right? Karak, favorite Discord mode. No, Reg. They still got 2 questions. Handhelds you have owned, and how tall are you? Just wondering.
How tall I am?
Yeah, I have no clue why. They want to know how tall you are.
Okay.
Slightly taller than me, to my annoyance, actually.
Yeah, 1 meter, 93 centimeters. You can do the math on that.
3'9". Okay, continue.
No, you're taller than that, Reg.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
And what was the other? What handhelds I found? The Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Micro, which was awesome. It was like this big, and you could play on it. And the Nintendo DS, the Game Gear.
Yeah.
Now the Switch, the 3DS, the new 3DS, PSP, Vita.
You've owned them all. TurboGrafx 16. Did you ever own that?
No.
So you've owned all of them, I think, but that one. It sounds like.
You had the
And
Advance
and not the
SP as
original
well, right?
Game Boy.
You had the Advance
the
SP, right?
and the
Yeah, so you've had, if not all of them, almost every single
not the Game Boy, not the Game Boy Color. Those I didn't have.
Right.
Those were prior to you playing games as much?
No, I had the Game Gear at that time.
Oh, gotcha. And by the way, Game Gear, yes, it ate batteries, but it was better. Because it ate
Dude,
batteries, but it was
amazing.
insane. It
Like,
was
I
a
remember
system.
being on vacation with my parents, like somewhere on the beach, and meeting someone else with a Game Boy, and we were like trading games and trading stations because I never had a Game Boy.
Oh,
I
right.
was like,
And he had
"Oh,
never
well,
seen a game.
Mine's in color. I mean,
Mhm.
come on, that's much better.
Yeah.
I will have to disagree though, because the Game Gear never had Tetris. So
Oh my god.
Wow.
yeah.
I mean,
I'm sorry to disappoint you. I was never that interested in that game. I was more of a Snake player.
my first was a Game Boy, the green and black in the ancient monochrome.
Yeah.
Nasty. Just nasty. And I think I played mostly Tetris because it fit the system. The
Yeah,
system
I
was
did.
squares. It was squares and shapes. I didn't like the other kind of games, but that game I remember getting detention, and at the time the teachers didn't even know what a handheld was. So they, like, if you had it with you, they didn't really know that it wasn't a book, or they knew it wasn't a book, but they didn't know like exactly what it was. And so you could take it with you. And I remember I had detention for like 3 weeks, or what we call in-school suspension. I don't know if you guys have it, but it's where you're taken out of all your classes and you have to sit in one place for a great deal of time. And you don't get to go to other classes with anybody. And the Game Boy got me through a lot of that. Name band again, $5 super chat. Did you get a haircut silver? These are deep, thought-provoking questions.
Deep questions.
I did.
What's
yes.
your mother's maiden name and what's your
Oh,
first
dude,
two tank
yeah,
codes?
password, yeah. It just works podcast. It just works podcast. I get the joke. $4.99 super chat. Happy Friday, everybody! I can't wait to get off work and play Halo Infinite. Yeah, make sure to check the your emails, folks. This Halo Infinite, what is that called? The Insider, the Float, the Boating.
Yeah.
There's a term for it.
No, it's flighting.
Flighting. The flighting thing has come out. And Jet 2030, longtime patron, longtime person who's been around says, "You guys rock." That is all. That's it. Just you guys rock.
Like the
Excellent.
Beatles song. Okay, you get the idea.
I do not, because I have no clue what you're talking about.
Let's keep going.
I didn't know that was. I hadn't heard that song before. So let's go to news.
It's a B title.
Plague Souls just asks directly, "Can I get you guys' bank card numbers?" Exactly. At some point, we're gonna pick
One
up on it.
question for each of you guys.
Yeah.
in the-
I have a question. I have a question for each of you. What's your pin number?
yeah.
So, what games? What news do we have? Do we want to talk about first? Let's talk about Mario. Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Movie.
Jack Black
Jack Black.
Yeah.
as Bowser.
As Bowser? Is that okay? So Jack
Yes,
Black as
yeah.
Bowser. Chris Pratt
Who was
as
the princess? Let me pull
As
it up.
Mario.
and then Luigi.
It's-
Luigi, is he in it? Is he
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Charlie Day as Luigi.
Charlie Day?
It's-
Charlie Day? Really?
Charlie
These
Day.
I was
Yeah.
not aware of that. Okay.
Seth
It's a little
Rogen
sad
as
that
Donkey Kong.
that Charles Martinet doesn't get to play Mario in a full feature, but
Doesn't Chris Pratt's got it? Dude,
Yeah.
it's Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt's the guy to. I mean, if
he's
you
not
want,
a marquee name. Yeah.
yeah, if you want your game to, hit, Chris Pratt's probably your best chance. Doesn't mean it'll fully hit. We saw that unfortunately with Breakpoint, but if you get somebody popular, there's probably a higher chance. Who's Mario or who's Luigi?
Charlie
Charlie
Day.
Day.
Charlie Day.
Okay, sorry. Who's not Bowser? The other one, the fucking snail dude, the turtle. Sorry, the turtle.
Oh, Toad.
No, the turtle.
Oh,
What's his name?
I
The Koopa Trooper or
that
Bowser?
I'm not sure.
Bowser is Jack Black.
Not Bowser. Who's the fucking? He has his own games and everything.
Isn't it Toad, the little turtle with the?
Donkey Kong.
Somebody help me out in chat. The freaking
Well-
the dude and he used to be able to ride him, but now he's got his own games.
Oh, Yoshi.
Yoshi, Jesus!
Oh,
I was
shit,
like,
Yoshi, yeah.
that shit was gonna get to me. Okay, so who's Yoshi, or is Yoshi in it?
There
I
is
don't know.
no mention.
Yeah, no mention of Yoshi.
so far.
There was
And
mention of Donkey
Peach.
Kong. That's in there.
Yeah, Seth Rogen, as I mentioned, is Donkey Kong, and we have Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach.
Damn. So what do you guys think? Thanks, everybody.
Sounds like
Now everybody's caught up, and they're just like, Yoshi, goddammit. What's everybody? I mean, dude, I don't like that. It's so money grabby to me because
Oh, yeah,
it's
for sure.
Mario, and you're like, I get Mario, but making a movie from it, like, so to
There
me,
was-
none of this really interests me. But feel free.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
I remember in like the 2000s, there was actually like a Mario manga, or like comic strip, that was actually pretty funny. Like I would get it in like the gaming magazine I read at the time. It was actually pretty funny in terms of its humor. Played with like the Mario characters and whatnot. But yeah, a full feature length film. I mean, Mario games have not exactly relied on their storytelling to succeed.
Yeah, I mean, did Sonic do well? Well, it did, right? Financially, I think Sonic, once they corrected the animation thing and they released the game, I'm pretty sure Sonic did okay,
honestly
did it
don't know.
not? Okay. And then wasn't there Detective Pokemon
Box
or
office
Pikachu
Sonic
or
movie 320 million.
Yeah, Detective Pikachu. Yeah.
320 million? I bet you that did well, even with the animation fix. And then, yeah, and what's his name? Ryan Reynolds, right? Did Detective Pikachu. So.
Yeah. So this is fully like CGI, or more on the animation side.
It's full animation.
Wait,
It's a full animation.
what's full
feature.
animation?
The
This?
Mario movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that
Yeah,
changes
it's
my
not
entire
live action.
opinion.
No.
People told me it was fucking like Chris Pratt with makeup on, looking
You
like an
saw
Oompa
live
Loompa,
action?
Yeah, no.
leaping on shit.
Yeah.
And I was so confused last night.
That's why I found
It's
it
a
sad
me.
that Martinet doesn't get to play Mario,
Yeah,
because he was just the voice
exactly.
actor.
This is completely not what I thought, by the way. Okay, so
Okay,
I
okay.
was so I even did the cover of the podcast because I was like,
Oh. Right.
we got to talk about Chris Pratt being Mario. Like, that's shattering expert. Like, what's Chris? Are they going to paint him? Is it going to be
it's
like the
done by-
mask?
by Illumination Entertainment.
What
It's an
the
animation
fuck?
studio.
Somebody lied to me in Discord, and I'm going to find you. and I'm gonna make a special Discord level just for you. And trust me, it's not gonna be nice because
minions, pets, and sing. So that's what you kind of
okay.
expect.
All right. Okay. Well then, so an animation, not even like Sonic, which was real and animation mix. This is gonna be a. Then I remove what I was saying about like what and all this. I'm not a big fan of Mario, but now this makes it just. The world has. I finally understand the TV show without the subtitles, like Johnny. Right? I get the language.
Yeah.
I get the language. I'm not lying, guys. Last night, I was even telling my wife, I'm like, the fuck, man? What do you do? How does Chris Pratt? He looks like Sonic because of his hair. So I was thinking like he would fit more as Sonic, like blue.
I mean, there was one live-action Mario movie already.
I know, and it was terrible.
We never want
was
to
so
see
bad.
that again.
I'm also not sure Chris Pratt can carry off a mustache, to be honest.
Just the mustache by itself. Yeah, that'd be pretty.
Yeah.
That's pretty. That's pretty. Like, don't let him near your grade school. Like recess yard kind of look for Chris Pratt. I think. Okay. Anyway, if it was live action, I would die laughing. Exactly. Now you understand, man. Because last night they were like blah blah blah, and I was like, all right, I got to go to sleep. And I was telling people about it, going like, what the fuck.
And that fucking Jack Black comes in.
Dude, and Kirby and I was like, how do you have them be like their
like
characters? Yes, that's why I was like, I thought it was like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Remember back in the day when they dressed up in suits? Yeah, with like zippers and shit. And I was like, man, this show's gonna suck, but it may be fun to.
Fuck.
Oh, anyway.
Like we have all those actors, but our budget for the costumes is like $20.
Right. It's like your uncle is really popular, like in movies, so you get him to come to your school play, and you still have like the $3 special
that's
effect.
amazing. Someone
Yeah.
needs to
Rented
put
them
that
from the
together.
local
That
costume shop.
changes everything about what I was saying and what I was thinking. I wasted time on the cover for this podcast thinking.
So I'm guessing it's more like Shrek or these types of animated.
Yeah, for the animation.
Hey, that's I'm
Okay.
it's not. It still doesn't fix the story, right? You still have to figure out.
It's true.
They need to plug in
To
a
do
bunch
more
of
than
extra
just walk
stuff.
from castle to castle for 1.5
like
hours.
rescue the princess.
Man, I'm gonna
and-
fuck up that person. I'm gonna fuck them up when I find out who that was. I'm gonna fuck you up, man. Oh, Karak, it's the same studio that made Despicable Me.
Yeah.
That doesn't help me.
And the minions.
Wait, Despicable Me, that guy looks like a zombie, right? It looks like Nosferatu, and he's a
and
bad
it's
guy.
the one with the little guys with the
hook
3
nose.
eyes.
With the yellow little guys.
I
yeah.
did. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Pretty good.
Wow. Dude, I feel
That was a roller
almost
coaster.
relaxed. It was. There's a lot of emotion.
Here.
There's a lot of emotion.
We went.
Yeah. I think I need to. If I was ever going to cry, this might be the moment where I finally break down about games, because I'm happy that it's not what I thought it was, because I like games and I want them to succeed. And sometimes when people do something that makes you a little embarrassed for the industry, where you're like
Right.
If you go to your family reunion, like, I love games, and they're like, did you see that fucking Mario movie? And you're like, oh, Chris Pratt, what have you done? What else do we got?
Well, we did have the Nintendo Direct.
A lot of Sega and Nintendo straight up in bed making
so
love.
One of the things is the new membership, right? The Nintendo 64 thing.
Yeah.
So it's like another tier. Reg knows it better, but I think it's another tier on top where you get
It is.
a bunch of N64 and Sega games.
It's like Nintendo Online Plus.
And no
I'm not sure
price.
what
Is
the
that
name
right, guys?
No price yet.
They did provide a list of games that will be on it. So if you're interested, go check that out and see if it
Yeah, which
floats
has
on
like
both.
Star Fox 64, Ocarina of Time. So it's definitely some N64 classics there.
Right.
And some Mega Drive classics.
I mean, I love all of them. It does feel like a nostalgia grab, but I mean, and putting it on another service seems weird. I don't know why they couldn't just put it on it. Yeah, we'll just have to see how it all.
I would assume that they made some kind of licensing deal with Sega.
Yeah. But you know how Microsoft paid for like Outriders to be free?
Yeah.
I guess was hoping for that. But you can't hope with Nintendo, right? If anything's gonna,
they'll never do anything where they would be out of bank upfront.
I mean, if anything, we should be thankful they're finally making some of these titles,
that they figured out what Bluetooth
console.
was, and was there any titles you guys saw? The Genesis titles or anything that like made you go, oh, this is interesting?
For me, the problem is that a lot of them I can, at least for like the N64, I can play those on my 3DS.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, the Genesis are interesting, but Sega has made multiple like Genesis packs available on like Steam and PC over the years.
Absolutely true. Yeah.
For like
so already covered there as well. Yeah. Where you can play Golden Axe and whatnot. So
one of the best games Sega ever made.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to play something like Ocarina of Time because it's an all-time classic that I missed, and just curious to see what my perception of it would be.
I think that was less of a deal, not a deal breaker, a big deal to me seeing that. I know a lot of people wanted us to talk about it, but to me, I felt that I already have a lot of those. Like you said on Steam, I have the old systems too, and they work completely fine. Those old systems will probably work forever. I mean, just the honest truth is they don't generate a ton of heat. Unless you smash them.
The only question is whether televisions will stop implementing like the SCART.
That's why I have a converter. Yeah. So
yeah.
for just that reason, you're absolutely that is why I have that converter, is to not worry. But I mean, what else was at that direct? Was there anything? They did Bayonetta, right?
Yep, Bayonetta 3 was shown a little bit.
4 years, I was told. 4 years ago that was announced. Is that correct? That Bayonetta
2017, I think they said themselves.
Man, that took a long time. And
it's out next year, so it's not this year.
Oh. I want to play Bayonetta.
They also showed the new Metroid game coming
Dark
this fall.
Night,
Dread.
Dark, Dread. Okay.
Something else depressive, yeah, Dread.
Exactly. Dread. Cutter. So is it good? Does it look good?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it looks different for a Metroid game. Honestly, it looks, to me, I mean, what they've shown in the trailer, it looks like honestly you're running away a lot. Like there's a lot of like needing to get away from a very powerful enemy, and probably less of a focus on combat. Where to the extent where it almost kind of becomes. I mean, Metroid has always kind of been sci-fi horror-ish, but it seems to lean even more into that. From what I can tell,
it's in the name.
It's in the name. That's what I was going to say. Maybe Dread. If you are running away all the time, that could be it could be interesting. I'm not saying good, but I'm interested in that. I will check it out. I just think the name is terrible. Anytime it's just a thing, it's terrible. I didn't like Fear, even the name.
Cookies.
It's just two cookies. Exactly. You're just like, I mean, they turn out good sometimes, but a lot of times you're just like, that's a really fucked up name. This one's like, Dread is just, it doesn't invoke a lot, but we'll have to see. That sounds like it might be interesting.
Yeah, Monster Hunter Rise, the expansion was announced. Sunbreak.
Good name, by the way. Now, here's why. Before somebody is like, that's a terrible name, which I'll also agree with. The reason why I liked this is because there's something about it that is evoking to me, and I don't know why. But I saw somebody on Twitter say I sort of like the name, and I do too, and I don't know if it's because the last game was snowy, because wasn't the last expansion a snow expansion?
Yes.
So there's almost a theme here. It's like, here was your fall, your autumn, and now we're breaking into spring. I don't know why. It may not
evocative.
be that, but yeah.
It's what you said, like the opposite of Dread. When Dread is generic, vague, this is a bit more evocative.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see if it pays off. It may,
right.
It could be, it's just, it doesn't pain me as much.
So one of the things they said there is this like new monster, I think in that expansion is lined up to come along the PC version of the game as well. and that's slated for, I think, Q1 next year. It doesn't have a fixed date yet, but what they said is that it will be available on both platforms basically when it comes out.
Wait,
which
both?
is nice. So PC and Switch. So at the
Currently,
same time,
the game is Switch only, but it is coming to PC.
You know what,
And
guys?
the expansion is coming out summer of next year.
I only read this
don't be
yesterday.
unhappy.
I
This
am.
is good.
Now, another complete break. I thought this was an expansion to Monster Hunter World.
Nope.
Oh no, World is completed. Sadly,
That's what I
Yeah.
thought. And so last night or this morning when I heard, I was like, oh, that's pretty exciting. I'll sort of
Alright.
mark that as
Oh, dude,
interesting.
I'd be so excited
Because I was so busy
Yeah.
last night, I just didn't get a chance to look at any of this.
But
So
on the bright side, though, I think they're using a new engine for the PC release, which could be interesting. Something
Yeah.
even more polished.
yeah, I'll
already.
check it out. I know Rise a lot of people liked, so I just didn't get a chance. Fear stands for something at least, and the character you play in the original First Encounter
it's
Assault
first
Recon.
first encounter assault recon. Yeah,
Yeah. Which, by the way,
but that's
you know where I'm going already.
yeah.
That was
I mean,
made up
it's
to
just-
fit the word fear.
Yes. Yeah. They came up with the acronym
yeah,
first.
yeah. I just want to make sure that person knows that it's not like they were like, that came up
It's
randomly,
not
or they're like, it
some
spells
fathead.
fear.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
so, man. I don't. That's not. That's probably not
They
right.
basically they sat with Scrapple and jumbled it and just put out the letters randomly. Yeah.
Right, and came up with it. That'd be amazing, though, if they did. What else do we got for discussion? Was there anything else on
Project Triangle Strategy is now called Triangle Strategy, not very surprisingly. That's the same guys that did the Octopath Traveler,
Yeah, gotcha.
Oh,
and
okay.
that's releasing next year.
So another JRPG game.
Yes.
Ooh, in a
Okay.
year. A year. Wow.
Well, not in a year, next year. March next year.
Oh, okay. So, March. Wow.
March.
A lot of shit in those first 3 months, people.
Start
man,
of March.
you
March
make
4th.
Make sure you guys save your Christmas money, man.
Yeah.
It's
And your
next-
vacation time. Just skip Christmas vacation and take it in March.
next year is gonna be rough, man. Yeah, that'll be cool. What else do we got for Nintendo? Was there anything
Well,
else?
Oh, for
Disco
Nintendo.
Elysium coming to the Switch.
Oh,
yeah.
and Reg Shadowrun, dude.
Yes,
Right.
As well. Yeah.
That is a perfect game for
The
a
whole
perfect
trilogy.
system. Whole trilogy, yeah. So the Switch,
Shit.
Shadowrun, I like. I think they're really detailed. They don't have voice acting, which I find to be a real ding against them because of the way they are. But man, yeah, Switch has got some pretty keen
And
shit.
Did you say KOTOR also? The
The original,
Yes,
though.
the
not
original
remake.
Xbox.
version. Yeah.
I think it's the Xbox version of the game, isn't
I'm
it?
not sure which one. But
Or-
yeah,
Right,
the
yeah.
original.
It would almost have to be.
Just not the remake. We know that.
I would be surprised if it was the PC version getting ported to Switch.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Very sad because we're at a time where we know the remake is coming, and it's
Yeah.
like you can buy the older one for the.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like it would have been nice to fully.
Yeah, if you want to buy the old one, you can probably buy it for $5 on GOG. And the Switch version, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 40 plus.
Oh,
Ah.
true that. Where it's actually worse. Yeah. What about what else do we got for Nintendo? Anything? Any other Nintendo stuff? If not, we're gonna play a
Nothing.
question from the audience. No,
Yeah, nothing really, I think.
All right, the first question we got. So we have a place for people to call in if they want to ask questions of us, and you guys can hear them ask the question. You can do it on SpeakPipe, is what it's called, and I have the links that will pop up. This first question we're going to listen to, let's go and grab these, will be from Giannis or Giannis. He does pronounce his name during the video or during the audio, but I just can't remember. So you guys will hear this, and then we will answer his question.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to ask when we can expect the next big acquisition from Microsoft for Xbox.
Okay.
All right. So, whoops. Let me make sure he's off. Yep. So he asked, what's the next big Xbox acquisition or
And
purchase?
when can we expect it?
When can we expect it?
Well, I mean, based on the rumors we discussed already last week, did you guys get the impression that it was on the verge of because I think these things take a long time, don't they, to solidify? Like the Bethesda one, wasn't that in the works for months or even?
Yeah,
I
and then
think
then it gets announced, and then it actually takes like another year to.
Yeah, the
actually
Bethesda
be put
one
in
just
place.
cleared, like not
Right.
too long ago.
if we are getting another one, I think the earliest we'll probably get it is at the start of the next fiscal year for Microsoft, I would imagine. So sometime in the spring.
Also,
Next
my
year.
guess, at least with what happened later this year, with the talks of Discords that fell through, I think they're looking more for gaming-related companies and less so like another video game producer.
Yeah, interesting.
I mean, I was told something would have already been announced by now, and it hasn't. So, for me, I do definitely see Silver's point. You know, they are a stockhold-driven company. So announcing it, you know, when it might make a bigger difference, might make sense. But I don't know. You know, I mean, the people that I talk to are usually come through, and there's two things. I mean, you know, you hear stuff that never happens, like somebody's looking at something, right? And there's two things that I've heard that are concrete. And again, this person's been right, so I'm just like, okay, that's concrete, and I trust them. But it hasn't happened. It hasn't been announced yet, so it could just be a technical thing, or maybe it fell through. Companies do fall through last minute. You guys are playing PlayStation games because Nintendo and Sony fell through in one day prior to an event. That's why you're playing a PlayStation. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Silver?
Just, I mean, I think Reg touched on something really interesting in terms of like gaming related companies, because what if, yeah, it's not a studio, but what if it's like Creative or Logitech or
I don't think this person was asking whatsoever about that kind of stuff.
Or Nvidia?
I think
no.
We care.
That was just just what came to mind for me, because that could be like, what if Microsoft bought Nvidia?
Who?
Nvidia.
Isn't Nvidia too big for them? I don't know how much.
Nvidia, the video card maker? Oh, it not only will it never happen, Nintendo Nvidia and Microsoft will never do business together. That's done. Like, unless what's his name Shu dies, and unless 80% of Microsoft shareholders die, Nintendo and Microsoft will never work together again in a business position. It will not happen. Like, they are so anti each other that it's.
Well, I mean, isn't Nvidia really?
And Nvidia is huge, and well, Nvidia is anti everybody. But remember, Nvidia basically cost Microsoft an entire generation, and I just don't think even the people internally trust Nvidia. If that makes sense.
I mean, there's a reason that apart from a Switch, no console uses Nvidia.
Right. Yep. Yeah, dude, they're like, people in charge are like, remember what happened? Never work with them. So. I don't think I get what you mean by a big hardware company, but yeah, Nvidia is not. I think it also probably doesn't behoove them, Silver, because they're probably going streaming anyway. You know what I mean? So so instead of doing a video card holder, I could see them doing not a TV purchase. That wouldn't make really any sense. Sony's already had their own issues with Sony TVs and Sony. Their own TVs aren't even prepped. But I could see them doing business with other big companies.
But couldn't that be like the streaming aspect? Couldn't that be a motivation to sort of tie the Nvidia streaming platform into the Microsoft streaming?
No, Microsoft is using and probably will forever continue to use AMD APUs. There's literally no connection to Nvidia and Microsoft. There's not even a connection currently between any company. And like Reg said, other than Switch.
Yep.
You know, Switch uses NVIDIA. No one else wants to use them. Yeah, so not right now. AMD's just better in all ways, really, for a console thing. And Blades, and I don't think they want to translate Blades to a completely different maker. That'd be pretty rough. But I get what you guys mean, hardware of some kind. You know, Discord makes you wonder why. You know, when they already had their groups and their vocals, why buy Discord? And then Sony bought them, right? Did Sony just do a deal with Discord?
No,
Just
People only
Discord.
did a deal.
I know that the talks with Microsoft fell through, and Discord announced that they're staying independent.
Yeah.
But
That
didn't
was the
Sony
last one.
didn't Sony announce? I'm pretty sure Jim did the huge announcement on the blog saying that they would be the first to partner with Discord. That's Sony.
Yeah, there's
Right.
true. There is some cross
Some
chat
integration.
functionality coming. Yeah.
So that does make you wonder, though, right? Like, so why would Microsoft look at all into that unless, like, what were they thinking of integrating that?
I think it was prior that deal they had their talks, but I don't know.
They did. They did it. They fell through, and then Sony did. That's why we're saying is what exactly, if Microsoft already has chat, would Discord have been about games at all for them? And I don't think it was. One of the things I was telling people is I don't think the purchase for Discord had much to do with Xbox. I think it probably had to do with Skype kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like the valuation of Discord, which is also like in the crazy numbers.
Right.
It's all about how many users are already on Discord.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah,
buying
true.
The user
You mean
base
buying the user
as
base.
much as the product.
Because the what was the estimated value, like market value of Discord was, I think, 14 billion.
Yeah.
Which is crazy for a platform that makes like 200 million a year income.
Yeah.
And couldn't even get their own store right.
Yeah.
Which is also funny. Discord does very little. If you look at what Discord does, it does insanely small amounts of things. It just happens to work fairly well. Group community stuff works fairly well. And
everybody
people have embraced
adopted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the offering itself is nowhere near as much as that other one I tried. I can't remember the other name, but it looks even like Discord.
There's like
but
a clone of it.
Yeah, but it does like 10,000 other things, but it doesn't matter, right? Because the user base is, at least currently, is within Discord. Yeah, it's interesting to see what Microsoft... Yeah, I think Microsoft would have just been, more of a Skype. Buy it for the user base. Buy it for this,
Exactly.
Mixer they bought, which was...
Absorbit.
What was Mixer prior? Remind me, what was the name of Mixer prior? Oh man, I can't remember the name of Mixer prior to them being Mixer. There was something else.
Beam.
Yeah, Beam. That's right.
Beam. So, yeah, so I wouldn't expect much from Microsoft when it comes to hearing anything. I guess now I'm still just gonna say I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow something is announced, but at the same time, it makes more sense, like these guys are saying, to hold it to... except, does Microsoft wait? It'd be interesting to see, because I don't know if Microsoft does wait for their financial stuff. Microsoft has a tendency to just announce stuff.
They buy all the time.
So they buy all the time, so maybe it's that too, right? It's like they're always buying, so it's like we're not going to wait.
There's on their own website, there's a long list of acquisition history, and that's page after page after page. And if you look when they bought it, it's like basically every month. It's like all the time.
Wow.
April, July, June, August, September, whatever. They buy
money.
whenever.
I want that money. It's
They
so
buy
crazy.
whenever they find something.
Dude, Phil, buy the podcast. I'm telling you, man. Come buy our podcast. Just saying.
We will all wear like Xbox hoodies and...
Dude, I would totally rock the Xbox stuff for sure. And I would just diss
the
on them.
Xbox fridge in the back. Yeah,
Yep,
exactly.
I would diss on them constantly,
Oh,
but
dude.
I'd be like those NFL players that like get high, they get drafted and then they're like, I hate the Steelers, even though they're on the Steelers, and you're just
or
like,
that
dude, seriously?
that one indie dude for EA, like fuck EA.
Yeah, right. They hire him. They're like, we'd love for you to fuck EA. It's all right, man. Whatever. Let's see. Let's listen to the next one. Let's go through these again. Let's go. This is Paco.
Hey guys, Paco here. So I had two questions. One, since Nintendo dropped some more news about expansion of like the emulation stuff they're doing with online, including N64 and Sega Genesis, how long do you guys think it's going to take for them to, I don't know, roll out support for other systems, as well as like the pace of how they release games? And the other one was a little bit more fun, but if you guys were at a company picnic for the Just the Tip podcast, what would be one trust building exercise that wouldn't go wrong? Anyways, have a great day, fellas. Peace.
And Paco had a longer one than I remembered. So Paco was talking about Nintendo's rollout and other companies and what we'll see. Like if we'll see Nintendo do that. The thing that so you guys heard me when I was saying about Sega, it wasn't really as impressive to me. Is there a platform out there that would be impressive to see Nintendo roll out onto the Switch?
PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
Dude, the world would explode. What were you going to say, Silver?
I mean, you would struggle to call it a platform, but if they opened up to, because they have done some cross stuff with Microsoft on the Switch.
Oh,
so if they opened it up to like Game Pass,
right?
True. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I could see that being interesting. I personally wouldn't be.
What about something small like GOG? If some of those games like
small, I mean, they have a lot of games.
I mean, GOG would require them to be compatible.
Yeah,
Johnny. Which
is
you
assuming that
know
there's
what I mean?
like a Switch counterpart to the game.
Right. Exactly.
Like Witcher 3. If you have Witcher 3 on GOG.
Well, so Ben says Dreamcast. So I guess thinking along Sega I see what you're saying. So Nintendo Switch probably cannot emulate the Saturn because PCs couldn't until recently. Like that thing was a spider web of CPUs and GPUs. So ignoring that, yeah, Dreamcast. I mean, I don't know what games could run on the Switch. I mean, at that point, some of those games, the Dreamcast had some pretty wicked games, but Dreamcast, Oogly Boogly, I love.
Oh, I just remembered. I know what would revolutionize the entire industry. Sega CD, the Zelda games.
Yeah,
on the Sega CD.
Remember the old 3DO had a Zelda game as well. I don't even remember what those were.
They're known. They're like the Star Wars Holiday Special of Zelda.
Right. Yeah. Not necessarily reviewed quite well. Yeah.
Okay.
Sega CD though, because back then CD was such a crazy thing. They were only 670 megs or whatever, and now you've got gigabyte chips. Sega CD would be cool. Like I grew up on like Soul Feast was the first side shooter on that.
Or maybe it was the 3DO.
3DO had a Zelda. I 3DO for sure.
It may have been the 3DO. I think they made like two that were kind of point and clickish as Zelda games.
Dude, I'd be all over. I don't know if Chad, if you're interested in this, but like Dreamcast, man, I'd be all over because there's a lot of, like I said, Oogly Boogly was one that they sort of tried to make their platformer. And it didn't work out, but I liked it.
Oh, CDI. Right. Not
CDI Phillips. CDI Phillips, right? There's a lot. Willie Beamish, somebody said. Yep. Yeah, there's actually Sega CD would be cool and probably not nearly as difficult as Dreamcast. As like full Dreamcast. They would both be cool though. I would buy into that. It's a good question, Paco, but I mean, another thing you have to realize is Nintendo made it a big deal that they were getting old Genesis games on the Switch, which, not to be rude,
yes,
you know what I mean? It's sort of...
And they're raising the subscription, so you have...
And they're raising the subscription. So, in a weird way, I get the excitement, but at the same time, I'm like, it's not really a company giving you anything.
It's also the company that, I mean, when the Switch launched, they did catch a lot of flack for the lack of backwards compatibility on it at the time.
Okay.
And it took like over a year or two. I mean, I think nearly 2 years for the Nintendo Online part to come in and to offer like the Virtua Console that you basically had on the Wii U and the 3DS and DS, which gave you compatibility to older games. And their answer to that was basically, well, we don't want people playing older games, or don't want like the older the back catalog to take focus away from the newer catalog that we're offering. So we want people to be excited about all the new titles that are coming to the Nintendo games and whatnot, Nintendo consoles and whatnot.
Yeah, that is true. But on the other hand, so did Sony, and now they're rolling out backwards compatibility for games they pretended didn't exist. And so hopefully Nintendo reverses that, because I think that if you're not excited about, let's say you have a bunch of first parties, let's say you have 10, that doesn't mean you'll be interested in all 10, right? Maybe a person might be interested in 5. Well, if you have those 5 plus backwards compatibility, there's more of a reason to buy something. And whatever Sony in particular and Nintendo are smoking is just really strong, because their ideas don't make a lot of sense to a normal consumer. It's like, let's artificially restrict and also not offer anything. And you're just like, but fucking, I mean, and it works, you know, the systems sell well, but at the same time, we're just now finally getting some of the stuff we should have got years ago. We should have got Bluetooth day one. The hardware's there. Like stuff like that. Like it's, you know, Nintendo's just, they suck that hind tit for so long, and they make you so thirsty for anything they offer that when you do get it, you thank them, and then you realize it's like a baby bird eating vomit. Yeah.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Yeah, and you're just like, it bothers me as a, like, people get mad at like EA or something, and I get that, but I'm actually more mad at sometimes the platform holders, because you just like, dude, the platform holder, if EA has a game or a company has a game you want to play, sometimes a platform holder won't let you play it to the next gen, and you're just like, why?
Well,
Admittedly, third parties do that.
Nintendo is very good at keeping everyone's expectations of them very low.
Yeah, dude, right? Right? They do.
Because they're like, oh, their games never go on sale. It's Nintendo. Oh, the consoles will never get cheaper. It's Nintendo. Or the online will, of course, not work. It's Nintendo.
Man, what a weird world gaming is. What a weird, like, passive-aggressive, like, entertainment. Such a weird passive-aggressive entertainment. Speaking of that, let's see. Iceman Chuck Liddell. I don't think this is the true Iceman. If it is the true Iceman from UFC, I'm going to be really excited. But he says, I heard you call someone out on the last podcast for being an asshole. It wasn't the super chat person. It was someone who had been lying about things in the chat. I stream. Sometimes I get these kinds of people who come in. I appreciate you calling them out. I don't have the guts to do it. Is there any tools you suggest for anti-dickhead measures? Maneuvers? I think he means measures. Johnny, you do Nightbot, or do you do a bot for your streams?
Yeah, I do.
But I think you wrote your own bot, didn't you? Or did you just write your own?
No. I use a one of the normal ones.
Okay.
But I will say it is a big, game changer if you have like one person that kind of understands how you think.
Yep.
And they can basically know if you would be okay, with a comment, and they can kind of, like Sleeve helps us out, and some other people. Like it does make a great deal of difference, because those bots, a lot of the time, they will catch some of the easy stuff, but there can be like nuance with the language, right?
Yeah.
That only really a person can catch.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say Nightbot's free. I think most bots are free, right? You can buy some, but I don't really feel that you need to. Nightbot requires a little bit of finagling, as we found out when we jumped over, and it was like, how dare anybody talk? Nightbot was like, Nightbot was like a school marm, slapping your fingers with a ruler for nothing. You're just like, dude, I didn't even do anything. I think those are good, and I get that not everybody wants to call people out. So if you want to use a mod for that, then I would also say that's a very good idea, is to use a mod, because the mod a lot of times is behind the scenes, doesn't have to worry about anything, and you can just be like, don't
need to.
Yeah, if they do it, you're just like, it's on them, and they do it, and they take care of it, and you don't have to worry about people sitting in your chat being jackasses. And I think that people don't realize that in the old days with streaming, I think people let it happen.
Yeah,
I do. And even
That's
talking to some people, they let it happen for a long time. And only in the last couple of years, even myself, people are like, whoa, he's really aggressive if somebody's a dick. And it's like, well, why shouldn't I be? There's like, you should call them out. That it makes no sense if you go into a social interaction and somebody is not doing the proper. We've all had that friend who like creeps around girls or whatever, and I don't mean creeps as in a bad way, but they don't know how to socially interact, let's say, with the, and you're like, dude, you do this or say this or whatever, and a mod will take care of that. In the old days, man, people didn't do shit, and now people just basically are like, fuck you, you're gone. And it makes sense because you have friends or fans who are in there to enjoy themselves. Why let one person who feels entitled
ruin the vibe?
Ruin the vibe. Yeah.
And you're 100% right. And doing that creates this sort of culture in the chat where people, because you're so clear that doesn't fly, that's not cool.
Yeah.
People understand it. And the chat almost moderates itself. You see it here. If someone, it's rare, but if we get someone being a dick, people in chat will be like, get out of here, idiot, right?
Yep.
Our own chat has like imbibed itself with that sort of culture, and it's able to go from there.
And I think it just works. It just makes it better. It just makes it better. It makes it better for everybody involved. And if you're a new person and you're trying to stream and you're just trying to get your job done and somebody comes in to be a jackass, get rid of them, because mentally, why should you, if you're a smaller creator and you're on Twitch, why should you deal with it at all? And here's the thing, when I say why, that is not a real question, because there is no answer. There is never an answer that you could ever tell me where why would make sense. That person should just be gone, whether it's a temp ban or a full ban or what have you, just gone, just fucking nuked. Because there is no why where you can answer that and tell me there's a reason why that person should be allowed. They're gone.
Maybe you're thinking, I'm small, I need every viewer.
I think that's what happens. Yeah, I think
you don't need that type of viewer. In fact, right? You're way better off.
They'll leave anyway. Your good people will leave. You know, and we've even had it in the Discord. When the Discord gets really like, let's say the entertainment is bad. Not entertainment, I'm sorry, but the environment is bad because of gaming in particular. So everybody, like, let's say something big and bad has happened in gaming. Like Activision has done something stupid or what have you, and there's a lot of negativity. I've had people DM me and be like, hey, I'm talking about this too much. I'm leaving for like a month and I'm coming back because this is dragging me down and I'm getting involved. So they're self-policing themselves, but I've had people, the COVID thing, when COVID was a big deal, and some people were like, you should not believe the government, you should go, fucking like walk into the ocean slowly, which personally I believe is a great fix. But regardless of that, this person just DM'd me very nicely and was like, listen, it's probably not best for me to engage in this for a while, because they were so hot about it. And they were like, I'll take myself out of the convo for a little bit, but I want you to know that it's like, it's because of these things. That's awesome to me. That's awesome. A censored chat is boring. No, censored chat is amazing. Doesn't make the chat interesting. If you want interesting, you can always go. Like if you're bothered because people aren't allowed to drop racist terms and stuff like that, which that's on you, you're a jackass. But if you are bothered by that, especially in my chat, what I always say is, there is a ton of other chats that you can go to, all of them not me. And I don't want you here. Like, if that's what you want, leave. Because I would gladly have you gone and never, ever enter my space than be celebrating being a dickhead. That just completely useless. It's like, it just doesn't pay off.
And people always mix up, freedom of speech with speech without consequence.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're a dick, we also have the right to tell you that you're not welcome, basically. And
I mean, if we're already talking about that part, people also totally misconstrued the idea of free speech as is. Like a private platform, a private forum has absolutely no way.
There's no guarantee for it.
Have to keep your free speech going.
Well, and free speech is different, of course, than free speech without consequences of some kind.
Exactly.
There can be consequences there or elsewhere. And we'll, luckily we don't have it. Like ours is good, but dude, I've definitely seen it. There was one Discord I was in for a long, long time, and it got worse and worse, man. It just got worse and worse. And they were like, oh no, we don't control this. We don't control that. And I'm like, dude, it's getting like, vaguely uncomfortable to even chat in here, because like if my name is in there, somebody might look and say, hey, Karak didn't speak up, and I always did, and most people were cool about it, but it's like sometimes you're just like, dude, seriously, which is weird because I think we grew up in cell phones now. My nephew grew up in a world where you don't have to talk to the person in front of you. You can interject a cell phone. When I grew up, if you were a jackass, there was about two ways out of it: shut up Or as the old saying goes, put up, because you're going to piss somebody off and there's going to be an issue, and you had to learn and be like, okay, this is probably not right. Like, I need to make sure I don't do this. And with internet, it's a little easier to get away with stuff. So you have to control it. But it's a good question. I hope you enjoy yourself streaming, because streaming is awesome. Being able to talk about video games is awesome. So I very much hope that you continue to enjoy yourself. And if you do have an issue with anybody, send them my way. I'll make sure to tell them to fuck off for you, because I have absolutely no qualms with telling somebody to basically drown themselves.
Be a patron tier.
Yeah.
Tell Karak.
I'll be a mod. Ooh, that's a good.
Karak will tell someone to fuck off for you once a month.
I'll be a mod
that.
in your
Sick Karak on someone.
That's so rude. What else do we got for discussion topics?
Real quick, Far Cry 6 is only having ray tracing on PC, right? To get the 60 FPS in consoles.
Correct.
What do you think? Big deal? Inconsequential?
Chat, what do you guys think? Because I saw it and I was like, they just can't hit 60 with ray tracing. So they're just...
And to me, it makes sense for that game, 60 as a target, doesn't it?
It's
For
a shooter,
consoles,
so,
if possible, like...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is what they're hitting, right? So they're not
Right.
trying 30 at all?
Well,
it
I think
on
at least
on
the
current gen.
current
at
gen.
least.
Okay.
I don't know
Current gen
about
is 60.
previous. Yeah.
Huh. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like I don't expect every game to be ray traced. It's just what they're, trying to do and what they're going to, and if it is ray tracing at like 25 frames per second, that's going to suck. Like, that'd be terrible. Why would you want to play that? So,
Well,
to me,
we did get at least a toggle of prefer quality or prefer frame rate in many games on consoles.
Yeah.
What I'm still would like to see is have more graphical whistles, but lower resolution. Like, I don't need the full 4K.
exactly.
Full 4K.
Yep. Right.
Give me a 1440p, but enable ray tracing.
Oh,
And
see,
we've seen,
I was
Go
just
on,
going to
sorry.
say, I don't know about you, Reg. I actually disagree with just one thing you said, and that's ray tracing. And here's why.
Yeah, okay, something else.
I would
Whatever.
like all the other things, because ray tracing eats up so much. And sometimes
Right.
you turn on ray tracing, like Control,
Then, give me lower resolution.
Yeah, give me-
but enable. I don't know.
mist, fog, like more fog, more
For
debris,
example, more
particles.
particles.
Yeah,
Right.
like people don't get it, man. Particles.
Reflections.
Yeah, and you can fake reflections with screen space without using ray trace. You'll see somebody say we have ray trace reflections. You turn them on, and I've seen it. It happened in Cyberpunk, where you turn it off and you'd be like, dude, seriously? I'm in battle and I'm getting my ass kicked. I'm not going, reflection isn't showing
not
me.
that, but if a game uses the old well-known tricks that many devs have used for a long time to make an image look as good as possible without the ray tracing, then the step up to ray tracing is not that amazing.
Or looks worse. That is absolutely true. Exactly. I agree. I think I wouldn't want to go lower than 720, but I would kill for like a 1080p. Like, here's your graphics mode, and then a 14 or a 1440 on Xbox. PlayStation still doesn't support that, but
because I know for sure from experience with using the PC, for example, I cannot tell the difference between 1440p and 4K on the TV.
Exactly.
Most
Most
not at
people
all.
can't.
Impossible.
same.
Yeah, ray tracing, I think, needs another gen, right? It feels like it needs another gen before it's really burnt into those cards and it doesn't hit so hard. And a lot of times you'll see them say, here's ray tracing reflections, here's ray tracing shadows, and here's, what's the other one? Ray tracing, there's one other that you see usually in the group, and I think Cyberpunk had 3 as well. And
shadows, reflections, and lighting.
maybe it's just overall or lighting, but whatever. A lot of times I'm like, dude, shadows are the first thing I usually turn down. Or ambient occlusion. How many times have you looked and you turn ambient occlusion on low and it's like slightly dimmer shadow and you're like, all right, I just got 15 frames per second more. Like, I don't need the shadow. I'll turn the contrast down on the monitor if I have to before I worry about that. So, yeah, it's...
I will say, dude, just super quick, the shadows, have you noticed in games when the shadow is updating every second or so?
Oh, for sure.
And you see it like it looks
if
terrible.
You have the sun position that like
Oh,
those-
Yeah, it's
Skyrim.
like boom,
Remember
boom, boom.
Skyrim
Yeah.
would be like,
Oh my god.
oh.
Yeah, and I saw that. I think I saw that in Cyberpunk in the desert area with with RTX off.
Oh,
you could
gotcha.
see that.
Oh,
that,
okay.
like periodically moved. So that was one example.
That's one
where-
example where it pays off. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Marcus says Far Cry 6 looks like a 360 or a PS3 game. Having played a 360 game yesterday, you're full of shit.
bro,
You're
come on,
full
man.
of bloated.
Come on.
That is such. I'm sorry, man. I played the best of the best, dude. I don't know. Like, I get hyperbole, but at some point you're like,
Yeah,
somebody's
yeah.
just gonna check on what
What
you
are we
just
doing
said.
here?
I'll just boot it while we're playing a game or while we're doing a podcast. I'm just gonna have a game that looks amazing on the 360 and whatever game it is we're talking about. And whenever anybody's like, it looks like a Genesis game, I'll turn the Genesis game on and be like, seriously? State of Decay 2. Yeah, State of Decay 2 is rough, right? I like State of Decay 2, but
I
that
don't think
game's
it looks
engine is
ugly. I think it was just rough, like technical wise, but it's still
yeah, it's.
really
I mean,
fun.
it's. Yeah, I really like State of Decay, but I think
I played
that
it very
it's-
recently. It's,
Yeah, so did I with the new update. It's just rough, It's just, and I think you
Yeah.
see Days Gone, right? And you see
Yeah.
Days Gone, and you think in your brain it's two zombie games, so you think they should look alike,
Right.
and that's not.
No,
True.
yeah.
No.
One's Sony head first party technically, and the other is like now Microsoft first party, but it's Undead Labs who has like, just doesn't have the chops and the engine. The engine, I think, was the big one. Somebody said they should buy the Ascent devs, and I'm like, I get why you're saying that, because Microsoft and the Ascent are so tied together, but I don't necessarily think Microsoft should just buy a dev just because they're tied together. Like,
yeah.
you get
You
a lo-
release the game for Xbox, we buy you.
right. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's like, I mean, I get it, but you hear that a lot, and you're just like, why should they? Why?
Yeah.
Like the why.
At the end
needs
of the
to be
day,
answered.
it's all numbers, right? They got to look at the numbers.
Yeah.
And if it makes sense, they
KJ
might go.
wants to know if we played Ninja Gaiden Black.
No, I did not.
No.
Is that a recently? I know Ninja Gaiden Black was originally the Xbox, but is
So
there
it's
a
not
remake?
the one that got recently ported to
I think
the
that's what
Switch,
he's
right?
talking about. Yeah.
Or is it? Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah, it looked pretty rough on the Switch, I will say.
Yeah. Have you guys talked about Diablo 2 Resurrection? No, we'll do that right now.
Okay. Yeah. So
And moving
one
on.
of the things.
Okay, you have
we're
some.
done. We're done. Well, I got some.
Okay, go for
does
it.
It does look better, and
Okay.
they also have a toggle to go. And I think the Warcraft one also had this. You could toggle to like go to the classic, where it looks just like the old game,
Oh. okay.
or the new one. And they haven't changed anything from the mechanics or anything. So presumably all hardcore fans will still enjoy it in the same way. They've just like modernized the look of things. Animations look a bit better and stuff. I would say the change looking at it was like, okay, but it's not something that looks current to me personally, like for my taste.
I mean, I was sort of, I get why they wanted to bring it back and everything, but it seemed to be sort of much ado about nothing. It was like, here it is. I saw some reviews on it, but then it just sort of died out. And to be honest, I didn't check into the rest, but or why I didn't hear a lot of people talking about it. But
Well,
I
it
read it.
launched yesterday, I believe, and servers, as expected, were dead.
Right.
So it's not that many people even could play it.
what
I
were you
was
gonna
just gonna say that it was a positive. I'm sorry,
say? Yeah.
Karak.
What were you gonna say,
That
Silver?
it didn't.
Oh, go
yeah.
ahead. Sorry. No, continue, Johnny, and then Silver.
I
can go.
just wanted to say is a positive that it didn't completely blow up like the Warcraft
Yeah, right.
remake.
Right.
And then Reg is
Well,
like, it doesn't
yeah.
even.
I mean, you
Yeah.
can create, I think, an offline character, then you could at least play it, but they do have that system of
Oh
you have
God.
an online character and you have an offline character.
I ain't into that. I don't want to waste my time doing it again. Right? Like, it's not for me.
Fuck
What
that.
were we gonna say, Silver?
Just I read an impression from, or a kind of review from a longtime Diablo fan who, like, one of his favorite games was Diablo 2, and he just was at the point where Diablo 2 is just too old now. Like, we've come too far
Yeah,
in the
right.
interim with some of the stuff that like Torchlight and Diablo 3 have sort of evolved with that it just feels too dated at this point. But I don't know.
Or
I'll see
Path
what
of
people
Exile
think
is a
about that.
free-to-play one.
Yeah, Path of Exile as well. Yeah.
I mean, I think when you look at like those older ones, people see the nostalgia and they see maybe they have issues with the next one, which is what people had with Diablo 3. People, and it's like, oh, Diablo 2 was the great. But then when you return back to them and you see the animation, you know, your nostalgia glasses come off and you look at it and you're like,
I mean, it wasn't just, I mean, one of the big key points for him of annoyance was the stamina bar that's in Diablo 2, I think it is, where you can only sprint so far. And it's not like in Dark Souls, where it like affects combat in that way. From
it's
what I
just
remember.
sprinting, basically.
It's just the sprinting. Yeah, it's just there to hold back your sprint ability as the only function, which was very annoying to him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy it came out because I have no angst against it, and I think that's cool. Seems like people who want to play it get whatever they get. I do believe that company doing that. I would like to see some of the other stuff that they do, and I would like to have seen some improvements, I guess. But did they do all the expansions for Diablo 2 as well? Do you get all the expansions when you buy this?
That I don't know.
I think it's with everything.
I mean, you know, hey, if somebody wants to play it, that's great. It's just, I guess I'm one of those type of people that remakes just don't, they're exciting, but like Silver said, I do need them to take into account like today. I really do. If they don't, I start feeling like it's creaky. Yeah. And
I mean, the one I look to is the EA's remake of Command and Conquer, where not only did they do like the graphical overhaul, but they also actually did actual gameplay tweaks, just very, very small ones. But those small ones actually made a considerable difference towards making the games more contemporary.
Eternal says, actually your defenses, okay, so he says, actually your defenses do go down while running, so it's advantageous to walk. Then why is it in there? Like, I guess maybe at the time it made sense, and so they left it in, and now it
also towards the launch problems, I'm seeing not only did many people not even get in, but those that could get in and could create a character, apparently their progress was lost.
Let's talk about a game that's awesome then. Let's move on to something cool. Real quick about Kena. So I think we've all played Kena in some level, right?
Yes.
And Silver, have you got a chance yet, bud?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, so most of us have played this. I didn't ask you guys, so I do want to get your guys' opinions. Reg and Johnny, just feel free. I would like to know what you guys are thinking, if you're liking it, what you dislike.
I like the game, the looks of it. I thought at the beginning, at least, that it was too easy. Then I got to the first bosses, and my impressions changed somewhat. Let's put it like that. I mean, I still got through them. Once you figure out, for example, for the first one, that you just have to be up close and personal all the time. That is basically trivial. Yeah, I mean, definitely want to continue, but it's currently at third place of my list of games I want to continue.
You got Pathfinder, and what's the other one?
Pathfinder is for sure my top tier. Gotta finish it, and then the Lost Judgment is the second one.
Oh, gotcha. And what about you, Johnny? What'd you think of Kena?
I'm liking it a lot. So basically, like everything about it, except how jarring the transition between gameplay and cutscenes. It feels quite jarring, and it's not necessarily that they're bad. I think they're excellent. In fact, the cutscenes. It almost feels like they delegated the cutscenes to like Pixar Studios or like a really good studio, you know. And then they did all the other stuff in engine. The game literally stops and there's a cutscene, right? It's like the PS2 era games where truly it's an abrupt cut between gameplay, and whereas we're now quite spoiled or quite used to seeing a much more fluid or even seamless transition between the two. So that was noticeable. But what surprised me is the combat feels great, actually. Feels quite responsive. Even like dodging, like, iframes when dodging and stuff like, because, I played a lot of these games and it actually works quite well, So I was surprised, and I'm playing with mouse, and I will say that feels great because I do a lot of shooting and mixing shooting with whacking, and that for me with mouse works very well. The only place where it doesn't is when you're controlling the blob. People who play the game will know this. Sometimes you'll control a blob, and moving that with the mouse, it's like your sensitivity is turned down tenfold when you're controlling that thing, and it becomes a nightmare. But those are really the only quibbles. It's very polished and, really the kind of game that I needed now.
They should have given $5 to the Kickstarter for the guy who does Dane, the interpolation software, and got those cutscenes to 60 FPS.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm telling you right now, I do believe, Johnny, that if they were at 60, you would still have seen a difference, especially because Kina isn't really detailed in the face compared to her, but you would have not noticed it as much. Because, dude, I was playing that game, and that first cutscene comes up, and it's also not necessarily high bit rate. I think somebody could have probably cleaned them up, and they were really to the wire with getting this ready, which is cool because there's not a lot of bugs. Which is, again, another thing. If you ever hear anybody talking about fucking day and date codes and that instantly means something's bad, it's just like, just shut the fuck up, man. We're so past that. Yeah. But we got this, and those cutscenes come in, and I really do feel like remember we were talking about translation in games? It's like, why don't they just call me?
Right.
Just call me. I'll do it. Dane or interpolation of some kind. I just wish they'd called somebody. And somebody who did the cutscenes was like, we need to up the color because the color doesn't match. It needs to be more saturated in the cutscenes. And then fucking get the frame rate to 60 and go from there. And, that's the thing. By the way, just so you know, your mouse sensitivity thing, that's on consoles as well. The mouse sensitivity or the moving those guys is stoved up. It's very trying to get luckily you don't have to, you're not like under a time limit in that game, but it doesn't feel
with
the greatest.
Blobs you kind of are, but it's
you can call them back, I guess is what I'm saying. So but I just mean there's no stress. At least I didn't have any stressful moment.
You're not being attacked at the same time,
dude. Those fucking, do you want to know how much polish they put? The cutscenes for fucking every one of the every rot you find in that game has its own cutscene.
Yeah,
you just do not see that, and they looked, but it was a full cutscene. Like that's what, like the level of polish there was a step above. To be like, whoa, they did a cutscene for every creature you found. Like there's a lot in that game. What were you gonna say, Silver?
It saddened me actually quite a bit reading a lot of reviews for it because like the one common critique I saw of it was the gameplay being average, which, okay, I get that. But there's so much else there. And if you don't, and I couldn't escape the feeling that if you couldn't see that, I just felt enormously sad for that people sort of zoned in on, I mean, the gameplay doesn't do anything new. It doesn't break new ground in terms of that, in that regard, but it executes it well from what I hear from everybody. It executes it well enough. And everything that surrounds that gameplay looks just to be on a significant level that criticism to me just, it sounds so cynical in a way.
There's just weird shit going on in review. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that even the numbers don't make sense because some people loved it, some people didn't.
No, because, I mean,
I agree with you. There's some weird thought processes.
I get the complaint. It's just the zoning in on that one just seems, it seems too cynical for me.
Especially when many games that are getting, 10s, you're like, dude, is that really new? Is like, if you're saying this needs to be new, but its presentation is amazing, and this game's presentation isn't that good, and it's not amazing, like, how are we getting these weird scores on? Again, there's just some odd stuff going on because Kina, if somebody didn't like it, I would get it because it is just a platforming game. Maybe it doesn't grab them visually, but those are tied together. And like the first time you're climbing and you look around and you're like 8,000 miles above, snow-capped peaks and stuff. If that doesn't impress you, that's fine. But you would think you would mention it.
I mean, looking at the game, it gives me a similar feeling to what I had playing like Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, the JRPG game with the like cel shaded graphics or the cartoonish graphics, where that game just oozed charm out of every frame because like that your little sidekick, Mr. Drippy, the way he was animated as he followed you with his lantern hanging from his nose.
Mr. Drippy sounds
like an
man.
STD is what it sounds like.
Dangling. It was just adorable in every single way, and it just couldn't help but make you smile. And it's the same sort of feeling I get watching gameplay of Kena.
Fabby, $5 super chat, says, longtime listener, first time writing, keep up the good work. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. I do know you're a longtime fan because I've seen you pop up. I think with Kena, you got a good game. That's cool. One more good game to add to the list. One more amazing looking game. Now you got Ratchet, you got Psychonauts, you got Kena, you got all these. One thing that I do like about Kena versus the other ones is that their investment is nowhere near as deep in Kena.
Yeah.
And so if somebody wants to choose between those three, it's cheaper. Well, Game Pass will be cheaper for Psychonauts. I should be completely obvious on that. But I'll just say it's cheaper than a lot of those games, and it'll probably be even cheaper here soon. And you can jump in and you can explore and enjoy a game that doesn't need to be returned to unless you just, you really wanted to for some reason, which know if you would want to return to Kena. But I just think it's cool, man. It's cool because, it's their first game. Ascent, those guys, their technically first game, and it had more technical issues, but you do see some cool stuff coming out. And it's cool because like you said, maybe it's not breaking the bank in some way, but we're starting to see a level where the indies don't look like indies.
Yeah.
And I mean, and even if games don't break new ground, there's just something to be said for execution.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because we have AAA games that don't execute. So it's obvious if you're, you should always have it, right? And we don't, which is weird that we don't. To give you an example of why it's weird, Silver, is there's rarely a car that doesn't drive. Imagine that. Imagine in like another industry, a thing just didn't do what it was supposed to do. That's how games sometimes come out. And sometimes you hear about a car not having the best engine, but it'll still be able to drive. It'll still be able to pass people.
The Flintstones made it work.
Flintstones made it work with people. But for whatever reason in games, we get this, or for example, rap music or something, or music. Usually when you buy something, it's like, I may not like it, but I can see it delivers what it's
sound.
Technically it's here. But what's weird is imagine buying a new rap album and 4 of the tracks didn't just show up. And people were okay with that. Like, dude, imagine that. Or it was broken. The mixing. Yeah, let's just say it was completely broken. Like the layering.
Or you put it in and there's actually nothing on it.
Yeah, there's just nothing on it. And then when you try to remove it from your fucking Microsoft Zune or whatever old shitty, player you had, it deleted your operating system on there. Yeah. Like, that's what gamers allow.
Yeah. And not only that, but if you like complain about that, like that the game deleted my drive when uninstalling, it's like, stop crying, they'll patch it.
Yeah. I don't know. We're in a weird time frame for games. It'll be cool to look back on this in a couple years, because when I look back at all of us talking 6 years ago, I think for the most part, things were pretty solid, even though we were coming into a new gen. And now that we've got this new gen, I think some of the expectations people had didn't get held up. People thought the new gen would be instantly better graphics or whatever. Still seeing, you see the occasional game. I think we all should know that if you've been old enough to live through a gen. But I do believe that our discussions seem to be now sort of sometimes revolving into why is this industry the way it is versus like it's popping up.
Yeah.
It popped up a lot because of microtransactions, for sure. But now it seems to be popping up for some of this, and even for the people reviewing games, like myself. Like, if somebody says, Karak, why are you expecting this game to deliver? I don't, but if they did, and they were like, why are you expecting this game to do something brand new and amazing? That is a good call to ask me. I do think that that's fair, to ask me, why do you think it's going to magically do something, that no other game has? What if it's just good?
That is a great point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see this all the time where the goodwill seems often misplaced
Exactly.
In some cases, like
Good
Nintendo,
point.
like, why is there so much goodwill? They're constantly boning you in the butt with, all this stuff. They also do good stuff. I'm not saying it's all bad.
But I get what you mean. Yeah.
Right? Like Tales of Arise, they expect you to have all this goodwill and buy all this $100 stuff in their DLC system before you get any value from the product. It's just sometimes it seems like flipped, like they expect you to have the goodwill before the product generates it.
Yeah, and then there's also a lot of, I mean, obviously we push our hates onto other people. Yes. Like Reg was saying, where somebody's like, oh, they'll just patch it. You definitely don't want that, obviously. Yeah. But it would be nice to have sort of an expectation. And I think especially lately, there's been a lot of up your own assness. We saw it with like Death Stranding, where we saw people on Twitter being like, I'm the only one able to review Death Stranding because I went to college for fucking stupid games or whatever. And you're just like, all right, jackass, whatever, you're the best. But you do get this highfalutin thing where everybody thinks they're Siskel and Ebert. And Siskel and Ebert still were looking at basics even when like one of them died. They were still breaking down. I mean, you may not have agreed with them, but they were still talking about basic stuff. And we don't. It's like, oh, what newness? And sometimes newness isn't needed. Sometimes it's just like, if it's good and fun and enjoyable, that's a good... Ratchet and Clank, dude, if you play that game, I'm sorry, the fucking warps never come into that game. They happen, but you can't tell me that game has some substantial, completely revolutionary gameplay. But
the
it's
ones
still a
where
good
you
game.
Switch between worlds, they're very rare. Yeah,
I just mean that they don't affect the long-term the gameplay. Like they're not a part where I can say this is revolutionary. Like I flipped the world upside down.
I mean,
what was that game with the gun that flipped the world? Armed and Dangerous.
Kena has the same stuff basically.
Yeah.
Like it has those flowers you grapple to. That's the same, only it doesn't look like a portal.
Exactly. No, that's what I was saying. No.
Yeah.
Karak, I listened to the podcast on Castbox. Good stuff. What's Castbox? Is that another?
I think it's just an app, Android app for podcasts. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, somebody else wants us to talk about something we did have on our list.
Yep.
Coalition joined with Square to make Perfect Dark.
Wait, the Collective, isn't it?
Did I say Coalition?
Yes.
I apologize. The Collective.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
I saw people who were mad about that. I think it's interesting as a joint thing. Maybe people were mad because Square and Avengers, and they think that they're all the same. Exact the same. I don't know. But did you guys see this news? Do you care? Maybe I've not seen much of it.
Did not see it.
Okay.
I've seen it.
What does it hit anything? Or are you just like...
I mean, it hits in that the new Perfect Dark would be interesting and fun, but I mean, it's too early to say anything else. I mean, I enjoyed Perfect Dark back in the day. So a new one would be interesting, but I mean, again, it's just the name. We're not getting any of the people, I imagine, who
worked on the original,
on the original Perfect Dark for this new one. So I mean,
roll somebody out in their walker and be like,
yes,
help us make the game.
So how is it going to tie into the old one?
Right.
What inspiration is it going to take, and so on? Like, it's just the name so far, so we don't know anything.
Yeah, Johnny, any thoughts on this?
Well, my thoughts, from my field of work, when I hear that two companies are collaborating to create any software, my thinking immediately is one of them is doing the work, and the other one is providing some framework, either like QA maybe at the end, or some other legwork kind of thing. But there's a lot of overhead associated with the literal people, the developers working with developers of another team, because different culture, different practices, they need to now be on the same page, and there's a lot of loss of efficiency in that kind of thing. So very often it's like, actually it's one of the two is making the game, and
I would imagine.
Yeah, what I think.
I would imagine for Square it's more of a publishing logistical thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody said
Well,
it
it's
was
not
the initiative, by the way,
it's
not the collective
Crystal
and not Collaborative.
Dynamics and the initiative.
Oh,
We came
got
up
it completely wrong. Yeah,
dude, there's so many that I'm just like, honestly, I used to worry about that shit, but now I'm just like, oh, it's the initiative. Okay. There's so many different thes that it's like I don't get too stressed about it.
I mean, Crystal Dynamics were the original developers, I think, of Perfect Dark, weren't they?
Dude, I don't know.
I don't remember.
Dude, that game is wasn't that an
Or was it
original
Rare?
Xbox launch title? Like that game is ancient. I don't even remember the last time
No,
I
I think-
played a Perfect Dark.
Wasn't it Rare, actually? Now that I think about
It
it.
was Rare for sure, but I don't know who. What other
because
companies
it came after GoldenEye and kind of built on some of the things from GoldenEye, I think.
Yeah. I got some people who are really mad because I was like, it's interesting. They're like, you should be concerned. And I'm like, I'll hold concern to cancer, bitch. Like, I'm going to hold concern to real shit. I'm not going to hold it to two companies in the future because two companies in the future failed me miserably on Dragon Age Inquisition. So what the fuck? Like, I mean, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. There's, like you said, Rare, are they going to wheel these? They're not even teaming with Rare, but if they do go, they're going to call these guys and be like, yeah, man, you've been retired for 15 years. We're going to roll you out so you can say you're doing Perfect Dark, so that can lead some false bravado to our claim. Who gives a shit that person's not a part of it? And also, if that person is a part of it, does that mean anything? Because those gameplay mechanics are ancient as fuck. I mean,
and it's been 20 years. So.
20 years. Dude, people have, by the way, people just got into gaming. I always say this, but if you ignore I always say yesterday, even 2 generations ago was less than 20 years. So it's like, dude, people weren't even playing the systems. Like, that's how old that game is.
Someone on the Discord yesterday, I think, discovered that Beyond the Steel Sky was on Apple Arcade.
Yeah, I saw you posting about that. Yeah.
And then, it's the sequel, the direct sequel of the original game that released 20 years ago.
Dude, that's insanity. Yeah, and it's also a positive. Gaming's got forever. Oh, somebody mentioned Blue Stinger. Amazing game. But well, not really amazing. There you go, hyperbole. It was cool at the time. But man, it's Perfect Dark. I'm interested in as a title, but no more than that. I mean, is the character going to make any sense? Is it going to sell?
I don't think I ever played Perfect Dark.
You probably didn't, Reg. It wasn't, not to be rude, but it didn't really release instantly big. It took a while to get its...
I don't think it ever never sold gangbusters.
Did it?
Not
I
like
didn't track
GoldenEye at
that,
all.
but not. Yeah, well, yeah. GoldenEye, dude. GoldenEye was pretty fucking ace, man. Got with the multiplayer and they did Pierce Brosnan dirty with his squarish face, but that's all they could do in the N64. But that dude's face looked like a Lincoln log had been digested by a dog. Like, if you guys haven't seen what I'm talking about, go look at Pierce Brosnan's face in GoldenEye. And you're just like, damn, son. Or what's her name? The girl from Taken. The main character, the girlfriend in GoldenEye. Oh. She also plays...
Natasha something, isn't it? I know in the movie her name is Natalia, but I forget the actress name. I think it's Natasha something.
It's not. It's the chick who plays in X-Men, or the older X-Men, as Phoenix.
No, she was... she's a villain in it.
Yeah, you're right.
Famke Janssen. She's one of the henchmen. Yeah.
Let's see. Those bots in Perfect Dark were on point. Dude, the bots were on point in a lot of older games. And I'm not saying AI's got worse. I don't even want to go there.
Senya Onatop is her name.
But he's right. Perfect Dark was good. Unreal 1999 was good. Back then, man. And by the way, I play Unreal still continually, and it is still good. The bots. So it's not like nostalgia in that point. It feels like maybe there's too much going on in games. Maybe there's too many systems and it's hard for the bots.
Constraints for the bots.
Yeah, because admittedly, Unreal. Other than gravity and momentum, because you could leap between locations, which was but they didn't have to worry about.
Cool idea.
Yeah.
Whoever had that idea was like,
dude,
Like
The f-
Unreal Tournament was one of the very few games that I played like locally on the LAN network.
Oh,
at
gotcha.
home.
Uh-huh.
And I remember when they're like, "Oh no, man, your secondary weapon interacts with your primary weapons."
Yeah, slow
It was
fire,
so
quick
yes,
fire, yeah.
and you could shoot your own fucking ball of plasma to explode it, which then was like a
Yeah.
tertiary
Deflect
weapon.
cannon.
Oh my god, yeah, the goo gun, which admittedly probably my least favorite, but I probably died to it the most because somebody get it and I'd be like, "Bitch, I can't use it, so obviously you can't," and they would still kill. They would kill me. It's like I can't see you, so you can't see me. That's not the way it works. But yeah. So many good games. I can't wait to see some of these. That's what I would like to see, by the way, returned. I would love to see somebody be.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, or even a remake or remaster or backwards.
Sadly abandoned with the success of Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean, also
That
abandoned
sucks.
with like Unreal Tournament 3 was not great.
Was that the
I don't
last
think
of the
so.
Unreal tournaments?
Yeah.
And then Cliff tried to do the other one, right? Or somebody tried to do the spiritual successor, and then there was also
they started an open source project as
that's
a
what it was.
successor. The source code is still online, but I think the last update has been like 6 years ago.
Damn, man. Dude, those were headshot. Oh, multi-kill. Those were man, the Unreal, they were good games. Those were good times. I remember just being really, really happy with the game. Just having a fun time, regardless. But again, like we said, there wasn't a ton going on. How is Beyond a Steel Sky? The question was asked.
I enjoyed it a lot. I played it on PC. Yeah, good adventure game, 3D adventure game.
That's an old ass game. 20, you said? Years? For the original.
No, that was the original is Beneath a Steel Sky.
Beneath
that is an old ass.
That They refunded, if you bought Unreal 2004, they refunded you if you had bought Unreal 2003. What? So Unreal 2003 was so bad that if you bought the sequel, they refunded you for the original? That's...
Wow.
Is that true?
I don't know.
Is that true? Because that seems... Unreal versus Quake, the epic war. Oh, yeah. Quake 3 versus Unreal
I
Tournament.
mean, Unreal 2004 was honestly my favorite. That was the one
Was
that
it?
had the most. It had the most game modes by far of all of them. Like it was the one that had the major like space battle in the assault mode, where you started dogfighting in space fighters and then you came into the base, the space station.
There's a game I reviewed that had mutators, and it's slipping my mind. How many games I've reviewed? I reviewed Kena. I reviewed... Oh, no, Aliens. What was the one that had mutators? What? Something had mutators. What did I review? The shooter. Oh, yeah, World War Z.
All right.
So World War Z... Go ahead.
I looked up the Unreal Tournament 2004 versus 2003 thing. The original announcement from 2003 said owners of Unreal Tournament 2003 receive a $10 rebate for buying the new game. So, no, not a refund.
Gotcha. Has anybody done Unreal? Or, sorry, has anybody done World War Z Aftermath?
No.
So, dude, this game, first person does help. Absolutely. Changes the entire way it feels to move around. And there's a reason why I'm distinctly separating this from something else. But when you're running around first person mode in that game, it's pretty fucking sweet. With like thousands of zombies coming at you. And it's also got mutators, which is the game I was trying to remember, where you can change. And this is what Unreal had that was so good. You could go in and change all these parameters. And this game, man, it's got some good mutators. Like, they would change the way the entire game would feel. One of them is that you're consistently through the entire level being chased by an unkillable bad guy, almost like a nemesis. And you have to continually fight your normal guys, get through them to get to the end of the level. Like, crazy. But dude, it's 1.5 person. I've never seen, I don't know why they did it. If you're gonna do it, just do it. And instead, you just are like lazily, it's the fucking weirdest thing. So you're first person, but the gun is like over here, and you just sort of go like, and just hold your hands up with the gun somewhere in front of you. And it totally defeats the entire feeling you would get. Like aiming down sights would be much more stressful because your FOV would be tighter. I saw some people saying it would actually be more stress or less stressful to do that. I'm like, dude, what? You have no fucking clue what you're talking about. It would be way more stressful to be able to do aim down sights because then you would have to pop out and look. And by the way, listen, dude, here's what doesn't make sense. The game has an aim down sights skill that improves the speed to aim down sights, but you don't aim down fucking sights in the game. So it's more like flip your hands up lazily in front of you faster. It's the most fucked up. It's like, why did you not take the extra step, man? I don't get it. And so instead of going like, huh, you go, huh. It's annoying, man. Because I would have loved to have said that game was worth it because you had that and they had connection issues that I cannot believe they still exist. Day one of that game coming out, you guys remember Nor? I don't know if you guys remember.
Yeah.
Nor could not get World War Z to connect, and he would not shut up about it in the Discord. And it's just no matter what, he was always having issues. It was so sad. He was having connection issues, and they may have got fixed, but I distinctly remember a bunch of people having issues. I had this issue during the review phase, and I go to their Reddit, and these guys, since the day of the original game coming out, cannot connect. And the company has not fixed them. And I'm like, oh, are you fucking kidding me? And guess what? Yeah. That's what we had. I was able to connect, and Cadiz never once. And I had some disconnects. Cadiz never once in the entire reviews phase was ever able to play online. And you have the arcane, forward your ports and hack your router. It's God. Like, if we are at hacking your router, here, get the fuck out of here. Exactly. So I was just like...
That was the satisfactory playing with Johnny or trying to play with Johnny.
Yeah. We did get it to work in the end, but yeah.
But here's...
depending on the patch, then it broke again.
Yeah.
Why should a gamer have to fucking forward a router port? Right? Like...
my card doesn't work. Dude, it's fine. Go into the engine and just rejig the cables.
I love it.
Oh,
right?
Dude, but you can't return the car. You can't return the car.
No.
You have to
go to your car
cables on there, do a firmware update.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. It was so sad, man, because I was having a good time, and then that came up, and I was like, uh-oh, that's really stupid that I couldn't do first person. And then once I started trying to talk to people and connecting, and it was just continually... I mean, I hope I'm gonna play it today. I asked Cadiz if anybody in chat is playing World War Z Aftermath and you're able to connect. I'd like to know if you had any issues and if that connection rate is 100%. And ignoring that the online's never perfect, but we didn't have the chance to not be perfect. It was always 100% failure. It just what a killer for a game that's online. Because, dude, I would if that had worked, I would have given you guys codes. They gave me codes.
Had one work.
You had one job.
Yeah.
You had
right?
One job.
You had one fucking job. It's an online game, and they gave me 4 codes, and I'm like, to install it, 4 different Steam versions. Like, if the game doesn't connect, I can't give anybody codes. It's. You guys know I like World War Z too.
Yeah. The original was very fun, especially like you said, with the mass of zombies you see.
Oh,
it's like just a wave of zombies coming at you.
Oh, dude, and the new levels are good. Like, anyway, sorry, Johnny, what were you going to say?
No, well, I was going to say, like, in 2021, that is unacceptable. Because in software engineering, we have this idea of a solved problem. And once a problem has a known solution to it, if you have enough, the resources to implement it, you can implement the feature because it's a known solved problem. And instead, it seems like this connection thing is still like, can't you talk to each other? Like the people who have figured it out, like logged out writers, what's their excuse for, the game being offline?
Here's the problem,
for
Johnny.
weeks?
Here's the problem. I don't think they know how to fix it because what I saw was a bunch of people trying the random shit you always see. Uninstall your driver, and you're like, oh my god. Whenever you see that,
firewall.
disable the firewall so my fucking bot that I wrote can Trojan into your system. We went longer than I thought. Do you guys want to do can we put off the indie and how about this? Let's do the games that are free because we always want to do that, and then if Silver just do a 5-minute indie. instead.
Yeah, sure.
Though you normally do them pretty short. While
Yeah.
you guys are doing that, I'll be right back. I gotta pee.
All right, so got the list open. Let's do the free games.
Or I'll
The
just
free
pee while
game-
I'm here. Continue. I'm just
Oh.
joking.
That's.
Oh, that's
I mean,
highly
you already have a
disturbing.
yellow
Let's
shirt,
not.
so I mean. Okay. The free games up first, totally for free, really for free. The Escapists on the Epic Game Store, and I Like the Flowers on Indie Gala. That's it with the free games. On to subscription stuff. I have to scroll a little bit and see if there's anything here. It does. There we go. Xbox Game Pass, Lost Words Beyond the Page for PC and Xbox, Sable for PC and Xbox, Subnautica Below Zero. That's one for that Johnny kind of liked, but not as much as
Hell
the
yeah.
original
Yeah,
title.
it's still very good.
And Tainted Grail Conquest. That's it for Xbox Game Pass. And yeah, that's the end of the list. So on to indie game. Silver.
Well, the indie game is a game that just hit early access. It's a 2D roguelite called Source of Madness. It is what really sets it apart is it's kind of a mix between Dead Cells and Rogue Legacy in some ways. You have, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's procedurally generated. It's not just the levels, though. It is actually the enemies as well. So the enemies actually get randomly generated on every one of your runs, and the generator will just sort of stitch bits and pieces together to form these really sort of nightmarish Lovecraftian creatures. Like, so you'll have like a bird kind of thing with like a lot of eyeballs, giant tentacles on its back, and stuff.
What game is this?
It's really Source of Madness.
Continue.
And when you start, you get, like, you don't play the same character throughout. You get reincarnated as sort of a different character, like in Rogue Legacy, where you then have different, it's kind of like a different class with different like abilities and stuff and spells that you can use to fight these things. And you get a skill tree as well that then carries over and unlocks new classes that you can then choose when you die and play through. And like the visual design, visual aesthetic of it is really, really well executed. The general atmosphere, and then the fact the enemy design is just some of the best Lovecraftian design I've ever seen, because they are this randomly they're these randomly generated horrors that can only come out of your worst nightmares, basically. All the teeth, eyeballs, and tentacles and limbs and bones sticking out and whatnot. It's worth taking a look at. It is still in early access, so keep that in mind. It will. I saw a couple of people complaining that they encountered some game-breaking bugs, so you may or may not experience that. But I think it's worth taking a look at.
Yeah, I can't even tell sometimes if these guys are upside down. These bad guys. There's this one bad guy that looks just and so what you're saying is his bad guy wouldn't look identical to your bad guy.
Correct. Not only that, but every run is different. So you'll do one run where you might encounter that bad guy, but then the next run you'll never see that bad guy. You'll see completely different ones, and they'll have different attack patterns.
That's exactly
so
what
you can't actually go through and rely on memorizing attack patterns like, say, you could in Death Cells or similar games where you would only have like specific enemy types. They get completely randomized.
Damn. That game looks legit, man. But early access, I don't love for those kind of games because I won't return, which it sounds weird, but I don't want to hit the end or hit a game-breaking bug. I think that one, though, I'm going to wait until that's out. But that one looks reviewable like that because I'm not a big fan of trying to review those. But that looks fucking... There's this one creature in there. I can't even figure out what's going on, but it looks like beaks and legs and shit growing out of it, which...
And also because they get randomly generated, like the physics and collision detection can be really janky.
Of course, because it's it can't be like baked in.
Yeah, it does look very interesting. visually.
So
also the sound design is really because they get enhanced with like really creepy sounds that they make. Also, like the NPCs you meet, they won't generally talk, even though they'll get dialogue, but they'll make these really sort of unnerving sounds instead of like similar stuff. It's just these really atonal, discordant notes they are hitting that are really creepy.
Well, check it out, peeps, if you get a chance. It is on early access, but like I said, it actually looks pretty sweet. Wrapping this up, we didn't get to questions again in Discord. We just won't. I didn't realize what time it was. That's completely on me. I do want to say something. Speaking of reviews, again, I'm probably going to review this game. What is it, 20 bucks? Or is it 19?
Yeah, let me just double check.
I don't know why I said is it 19. That's the same fucking price, but you get my drift. If it's in the $20-$25 range, that looks well worth it.
It's $17.
Oh, okay, even better. I do want to tell people, so a couple weeks ago, I can't remember what it was, but I reviewed a game and I saw a comment on there that I do want to point out. And somebody was saying, you just want to do reviews so you can bitch or something like that. And I do want to remind people that if that were true, I would have done a review for Sable. And it's not that I hold Sable up, but Sable was making me sick. And I could have just done a review and been like, this game makes me fucking sick. I hate it, and I hate you, and I hate everything about it. That's not what it's about. It is about, that's why we do this podcast on Fridays. We talk about independent games or free games. It is about the celebration of games. Even if I don't like some game, it's about the celebration of games. And, you know, it's hard at times to make sure that you're not bigger than the game that you're reviewing. And I do see that with everybody. There'll be times where you're like, this is sort of a person grandstanding on a game, and you can't do that. You just sort of need to be like, I find something funny, but you don't want it to entirely be you roasting the game. It needs to have information for people. That's what I'm hoping you guys are getting out of these, whether it be World War Z and, you know, that the issues there. Unfortunately, I would have loved to tell you that my review has changed the score, but it hasn't on that game so far. Maybe next week. But anyway, I just want you guys to know that's why we do all this stuff, is so that, yeah, we like talking about games, but I'm going to be honest. If it was just that, I wouldn't spend like 6 hours doing comic book front ends for a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And we've been starting to do, hopefully you guys have noticed, we've been starting to do, you know, the collections of us talking about what we're going to cover a day or two earlier than normal, and some stuff for YouTube. But anyway, I just wanted you guys to know that, because sometimes I'll see it, and I certainly with reviews, you know, you guys will hear me. I saw somebody I've talked to them, by the way. It was pretty cool, but they were like, oh, you're just dissing on everybody else who's reviewing games. And I'm not. I'm quite confused. And if I wasn't confused, I would be fine. But when I am confused about how something gets something, I'm going to ask. The reason why I started reviewing was because I was mad sound, music, and voice weren't there. So I did reviews. If I notice something's weird, I am going to bring it up. And if you guys want somebody who's not going to bring it up, that's not me, man. Like, I'm not going to pretend it's a zero-sum game just to make you, like, comfortable. That's, you know, that's different. And if we see something weird where there's a question, we're going to talk about it. And sometimes somebody in here will be like, dude, I like the game more than you. And, you know, we'll tease them. But normally you'll be like, all right, I get it. And then sometimes somebody in here will dislike a game much more than me. But I hope you guys get that from in here. I hope you guys get enjoyment from listening to us. If you don't, I don't think you'd be here right now at the end of our podcast. But I hope you do enjoy your Friday when you guys leave. You guys have a good time from it. Wicked Critter did a $5 super chat. I've been working so much. I've got a live podcast finally. Do I need to cancel Twitch? I would cancel Twitch. I think we're here on
just
YouTube.
The whole platform.
I would cancel Twitch, dude, if I could. You just hit the mark. But yeah, YouTube's working out for us. I fucked up today. I didn't post the right thumbnail, which does actually impact, like, because people see the old thumbnail and they're like, that must be a old stream. I screwed that up, but it's worked well for us. I think we enjoy it, and technically it works well. It's much easier for us to put things together on YouTube. So overall, I think we've had a good time. I mean, there's really been no negatives for switching over, other than, unfortunately, Amazon subscriptions or whatever. But people do super chats, which helps us.
Yeah.
For
sure.
Yeah, cancel Twitter or Twitch. Sorry, not Twitter. Cancel
Not
Twitch.
Twitter as well.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Twitter is what, dude. What was it you who wrote that when I put the emote of the guy crying and filling up? And you were like, that reminds me of Twitter. It so does, dude.
Yeah.
You just looking at Twitter sometimes and it's just like, just crying all the time. It's like, Jesus, dude. But anyway, I hope you guys have an awesome Friday. Do you guys have anything? Johnny, you're streaming?
Yes. I'm streaming tomorrow, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Edition.
Awesome.
And also, real quick, I have a video today talking about...
Excellent.
It's
Sorry.
just in general, excellent.
No, excellent.
Video.
It's excellent. Already.
Excellent.
I've seen it.
Well, it's talking about the question of whether gaming is holding you back. And this has been like a big topic in places and stuff. And I had some issues with those arguments, so I put together a video about that.
Oh, you mean holding you back from doing like outside stuff?
Other stuff, being more productive,
Right.
getting stuff done. Yeah, all that stuff.
Can we finish this with a question? Does anybody in the fucking world, no, the 4 people here who matter, does any of us here think that like something holds you back from everything?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just moderation.
Watching fucking TV.
Watching TV, dude, and I watch way
trade-off.
too much. I watch way.
It's a hobby, right? It's
Yeah.
always a balance of the enjoyment you're getting out of it versus also getting the basic stuff you need to get done.
Did you guys get teased
Right, you
as a
need that
kid for
balance.
playing video games? Do you guys remember when you first started playing video games? Did anybody go like, huh, "You're a nerd"? Did that happen to anybody? No,
Like,
Reg.
even back in basic school, we already traded games. So no.
Yeah.
I did a little bit.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was this in
Yeah.
school or
Yeah, elementary school.
Okay.
Elementary. That's what they are.
So this was like early 90s.
Right. Yeah.
Late
It was
80s, early 90s. yeah.
Nintendo versus Sega.
Yeah.
Like you get in a fight with another
Yeah, the
nerd
only
and
thing
people
I vividly
outside would be
remember
like,
is not being teased, but not understanding why
I
a
think-
disc that fit in my computer wouldn't work.
For my part, it was also a mix of all kinds of things. I mean, it was the video games, but it was also just all the books I was reading and whatnot as well that tied into it.
yeah.
So they were just part of an
Nerd or geek
Yeah.
or whatever at the time, which now is, I would say overall, is not even a thing. Luckily
It's
for
not really it's not derogatory.
it's not
anymore.
derogatory like it was. Yeah. I mean, I
Thanks,
think we all
Henry
get
Cavill.
we all get teased. Do you know what it is? So it's funny. I agree with you, but I think the big thing is sports games. I really do. I remember because I was a lineman and our quarterback, when I switched to running back, we were trying to figure out like plays because I hadn't done running back before. And we randomly mentioned Joe Montana, Sports Talk Football. He had played it and he was the quarterback, the star position. I was a running back, which was a high position. And suddenly it was like you were playing games. And now all of a sudden you'd see somebody be like, well, I play that. And I'm wondering if sports, because the jocks started playing.
Definitely. I think definitely sports games and games like The Sims as well have been
Yeah,
huge
the
in-
general
in opening
Sims.
that.
Yeah, because I had girlfriends who didn't know any other game
Yeah.
other than Sims. You'd be like
Yeah.
talking and they'd be like, well, I play The Sims. And you're like, dude, I swear to God, that's the only game half of these people mention that
Yeah.
they played. They wouldn't know any other game. They just
Yes.
really like to.
And the Wii as well.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because we got grandmothers in. And when you're grandma,
Yeah.
when like old ancient fucking Emily, the grandma Methuselah, comes out of her crate once a fucking year for Christmas, and when she shows up at your house and
Right.
she's like, she knows what the Wii is.
Let's play some tennis.
Yeah, right. Break a hip while she's playing, and you're like, that's grandma. Because back in the old days, man, my grandma and I didn't have a lot to talk about because she was like, if you bitched, she'd be like, well, I had to fight off Nazis, and you'd be like, all right. It's hard to have a battle with somebody who's had like a hard life because you'd be talking and they'll be like,
Yeah.
well, I had
Yes.
my mom actually went to the hospital
Like, I'm
because
out of milk in my fridge. It's like
exactly. My mom got sick. She got cholesterol poisoning of all things by eating only eggs. She ate too many eggs when we were a kid because she fed us the good food. And like, so if I bitched, number one, I also wasn't super skinny. I was obviously eating well, but your mom would be like, I almost died by just eating eggs. And you're all like, at some point you walk out because you're like, well, fuck. They're like the Marines of parents where you're just like, damn, this is a war I can't win. But anyway, I hope all of you guys have a really good time. Enjoy your weekend. There's a great number of games out there. All these guys have suggested a couple. some cool games coming out too. Game Pass,
sure.
Reg just read.
All the time.
Yeah, it's a good time to be a gamer. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. I hope you guys enjoy this. Peace out and enjoy your weekend.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Hey. Oh, he heard me say peace out. They